There's something to bring up there.
Okay. I mean, it.
Really, not believe. All right, guys. So thank you guys for watching. You guys are They didn't, like you said, I didn't have to relocate. And then you scroll down, you see other people like, oh, this is really bad. And you know it's converting you have that grandkid, and you're like, yeah. Or your shit was banging so good, they'll say, hey, not worth $10. Not Is that it? Yeah, we're here. This is live. Awesome. This is so bad.
No.
So yeah, you can kind of get a view of what you see.
Oh.
Yeah, that's that camera
Sit
there.
up straight.
We also have a really high camera up there in the corner, right way over there in the corner.
Oh my God, are someone gonna have sex
Yeah,
later?
I know this is
Like,
exactly this is perfect setup for like a porno. Everybody,
I mean,
you get every
it's great.
every aspect of what you're looking for.
Thank God I wore titty out because
No, you look good, Jess.
Thanks.
You look very good. So yeah, this is the podcast.
like it matters. Hi. Hi everybody. Are we live? Are we on?
Yes, we're live.
Oh my goodness.
So I'll go ahead and share them here in a bit. But Jess
exciting.
Wood,
Hey,
what's up? How's
what's
it
up,
going?
Angel Lopez?
Oh my God, this is so crazy.
I am so excited.
Okay, so
Yes.
I don't know where to start because the more I get to know about you, the more I think you should be like way more famous than what you are.
You know, I get that a lot. I do. I actually do. And I really have to say, I think it's my, oh God, this is going to sound so fucking stupid, but it's my childhood trauma. My trauma has kept me from understanding how much I have. And I'm not going to let it happen anymore. I've been to therapy and stuff, but I swear to God, man, I've fucking sabotaged the shit out of myself.
So do you think it's been some points where you've had some great opportunities and you just like, oh, damn.
100%, dude. I was the first white girl ever on Def Comedy Jam, which is like, that to me is a huge deal. But man, were people scared when I was like, hey, I was just on Def Jam. And it was my first year ever of doing comedy. And this is in the 90s.
90.
Okay, 96.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was insane. Like Cedric the Entertainer was my host. I mean, there were a lot of things that were really weird about the show because I'd only been doing comedy a year, which, as you know, as a newer comic, that's nothing.
Yeah,
like
very, very nothing.
How do you even have a joke? Like you can't. I mean, I get it, but I was very fresh, and all I was doing were characters. Like I would never talk in my real voice, really. Like I came out on stage. This is what they got me for Def Jam. I came out on stage as a black dude. I'm telling you, I dressed like I dress, looking like I look, but like, what's up? Like, and people were like, what the fuck? And the first comedy show I ever really went to was a comedy contest in New York City called the Best Amateur African American Comedy Contest. And I was
Holy
like,
shit.
If they could tell me to leave. I don't mind, but I didn't know where else to go. And I went to New York Comedy Club and they had this contest. And I was just like, here, you pay $10 and you could win $50. And I was like, yeah, all right.
It's like, that sounds,
I want $50. Plus I had just gotten over a heroin problem. Oh boy. Yeah. Comedy saved me from heroin.
That's so crazy too. Because so when did you even actually start and where did you start?
That's
comedy.
Pretty much okay. So I was like a junkie girl who worked as a waitress at the Comic Strip, which is the Upper East Side of New York City, Manhattan.
Okay.
And that's where I saw like Dave Attell, Louis C.K., Sarah Silverman when they were starting.
Yeah, the New York guys, right?
Yes.
The New York
all
crowd.
New York comics.
Yeah.
And they were at the Comic Strip every night, everybody
Doing
hanging
what
out.
we do, right?
Doing what we do. But I was a junkie waitress, so I just was there, a little itchy, trying to get through my shift and go get another bag. But
you were still kind of like absorbing the stuff, right? Like, oh, this is going on. Like, holy shit, that's funny. This is cool. I can't believe the community that's going on here. Did you kind of see that, or did you not? Not that didn't come until way later.
Like 6 months ago.
You're like barely now, right when I started here.
Albuquerque. I was like, community finally. Yeah, it's weird, man.
Okay, so you were working there for a while.
So I was working at the comic strip, and this another comic who was working there, who people might know, Rick Shapiro. He's insane. Like, he worked on Conan O'Brien's show. He worked as he was like someone that people didn't even realize was an actor. He seemed so crazy and just in the streets, and he was on drugs also, but then he was on prescription drugs and I was on heroin. So he somehow knew that I was a comedian. That's him.
Really?
The James Joyce of comedy, they used to call him down in the East Village.
Interesting.
Yes. So he saw me and he was like, you're a comedian. And he would always shake his fucking hand at me. You're a comedian. And I go, no, I'm a junkie waitress. And he's like, no, you're a comedian. Because we used to fuck around. Like, he would say voices to me. And because I was such a mimic growing up, comedy was my survival skill growing up. So as most of us,
you were just a funny person?
It was how I survived.
Okay.
Because it was so violent and insanely exploiting. Kids were getting fucked and people were getting beat up and guns were around. And I mean, it was gnarly, drugs and guns. And when I was a little kid, so I was like, I better cha-cha-cha. I was like, I better, yeah, da-da-da-da-da. And so my thing was how I got by. Richard Pryor Pryor to me is my number one, because he was that's how he survived. I hung out with gangs and they loved me because I was funny. My family put up with me because I was funny, and so I was like, oh, you just have to be funny.
Yeah.
So even when I was on drugs, I was funny. I was going to score heroin for people that were too scared to go Lower East Side in New York City. And I was going to hang out with Puerto Rican dudes. What's up? Yeah. And they were like, look at this fucking girl. What in the fuck?
It's Jess.
Yeah, what's up? I was always all excited. And I used to wear big earrings that said love in them, big door knockers. And they'd be all, hey, love. And I'd be like, what's up?
Did that come kind of from the upbringing? Because I know you have a joke about you coming from a hippie compound.
Uh-huh.
So did that kind of come from that? I always just got to be a nice person and be super friendly, because, I mean, that's kind of what I've always seen around me in a sense. Or
I think it had to do, maybe that had something to do with it unconsciously, but I think it really had to do with the fact that I had absolutely nothing to lose. And I really had a fun, all the people that I got around me, even the gang members, they were so fun. They were funny as fuck. But we were shooting at people and we were smoking PCP and we were, so everyone's always kind of had a sense of humor where I grew up. Even my mom and her boyfriend, they had mad sense of humor.
Okay.
But the humor was he would say to me when I was little, go play on the highway. Because we lived right underneath Pacific Coast Highway in Los Angeles. And my mom would go, oh, he's just joking.
Yeah.
And I have a sense of humor. And I was like, ooh, that's
you're thinking about
harsh.
it, yeah. Especially when you're at a younger age, right? Because it's harder to process it like we do now. Now we kind of can nuance, sarcasm. It's
right.
all, we kind of can understand it more. But as a kid, you could just be like, wait, what?
You're like, facts. He hates me. Facts. He'd like me dead. Facts. And, he had guns in the house and he beat up my mom all the time. So it was you couldn't tell what was the joke.
And that was more of that was a step figure, right? Your stepfather?
They were never married. I mean, she didn't marry anybody, but
it sounds like my family. So
yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I felt I'm very open about where I come from because I feel like it helps people understand that you can make it and you don't necessarily have to look like this. Last night I did a show where everyone was asking me about police stuff and I have a few police stories, but because I look the way I look, I got out of a lot of it, whereas my friends went down, So anyway, I was working at the comic strip. Rick Shapiro says to me, you're funny, you're a comedian. And I go, no, I'm not. And he goes, yeah, you are. I'm putting on a show downtown. You come downtown and you write one joke and you do it at my show. And we'll see if you're a comedian or not. And it was a challenge. So I was like, fuck this dude. I'm fucking going to write a fucking joke. I'll go down there. So I went down there and I did this joke in front of the crowd and it fucking killed. And I was like, yo, it was better than the heroin. The laugh that I got from taking something that was true to me and putting it out funny, to all these strangers.
Do you remember what it was?
Oh, hell yeah. Isaiah, you know how girls, you know how when you go home with a guy for the first time, you have to act like a virgin, like you don't know what's going to happen, where you're like, oh my God, Steve, I don't know. What do you want to do? And then when he gets you into bed, you're like, ow, it's supposed to hurt, right? Ow. Oh my God, this is so weird. And then, but then 3 weeks later, if you're fucking the same dude, you're like, motherfucker, can't you fuck me any harder than this? And then I do whap-pow, like I'm slapping his ass. And, you know, that was my first joke, really.
Yeah.
I mean, on stage in front of people.
It's funny though.
And it was fun. I mean, for the first joke, it was fine. It was like an act out. You know, they called it act out back then when you like did characters and stuff. So I was like an act out comic. And that's why I think the black comics loved me so much, because we were very similar. Like me and the black and Puerto Rican comics in New York. I got him. I won that contest. So I fell in love with comedy, and I was like, where do I go? What do I do?
Or how does it done?
Yeah. So I found that contest, and I went to the African American, amateur African American contest, and I won. And I was like, what? And I mean, it was all, there was no white people in the audience, and I was the only girl in the show.
Oh, okay.
And I did like all my, my act outs were all things that I knew, like people that I grew up with.
That you've done.
And scenarios that I've been through.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was doing a Puerto Rican, I was like, I don't even think so. I was doing like all the like Mexican girl, Puerto Rican girl, Jamaican girl. Like I was doing all the girls, and in scenarios that I had been in New York, like true real, being on the train and a girl mad dogging you and then talking to you thinking you're looking at her man, like all kinds of stuff.
I get
so I just wrote it in, and I exaggerated, because I knew I was good enough, because I had grown up with people, and I'm not the type, this is gonna sound weird, but I'm not the type of white person that's just learned about things from TV. Like I grew up, in LA, I grew up taking the bus, going to the welfare office, public school, going to the unemployment office, the welfare office. Yeah. My mom had food stamps. Like, not that that's all kids of color, but that's what America thinks.
Yeah, majority.
Even though a lot of white people are on the dole. There's no fucking doubt. But it was just, I was exposed to a lot more than kids usually are, especially in Los Angeles. Like, in LA, it's a car culture. So no one sees each other.
See, okay, so how did you... So you grew up in LA?
I grew up in LA, in Hollywood proper, yeah.
Oh, dang.
And then my mom was in Santa Monica in a hotel.
And then what made you go to New York then?
After the riots, I dropped out of high school, and the riots in 92... So funny. In 92, the riots, the Rodney King riots.
I was 2 years old.
Oh my! I know. I'm old. I know I'm an old person.
You're not old. You're
but I mean,
wise.
I have
amazing.
a lot of. I'm a crone. I'm a witch. I'm accepting. I didn't know I'd grow up. Yeah. Here's the thing.
You're the witch that put a spell on me that I can't age anymore.
There you go, Peter Pan.
I never can get anywhere.
Look, I don't think any of us. If we do comedy, it's very hard to look real old because you're like happy and shit.
Yeah.
We're smiling all the time. I love this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're doing more than what normal people do. I feel.
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of people just sit around, get 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm done with the day after the 9 to 5. But there's some of us who are just like, oh man, I got to go out to do comedy after the 9 to 5. Exactly. I got to do more than just, I'm gonna just sit down and stuff. Or just,
exactly.
So I can see that.
Fuller life makes you a fuller person and makes you happier. Like, if what I do brings people joy and people find themselves in what I'm talking about and say like, oh my God, that I relate to that, but we don't look anything alike, then I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? Like to be able to relate to everybody and be able to let everybody know, like, we all come from fucked up places. Doesn't matter that we come from, whatever, poor or broken home. It doesn't matter. Yeah. If you can take that and make some sort of magic out of it, and I say this all the time, I don't care if you're an accountant. If you love numbers, fuck with numbers.
Or do it.
That's your passion. Go fucking do it,
Do it to where the excitement is an excitement.
Yes. Like I walked into this studio and I was like, shut up. I mean, I'm so excited to be here. And I'd be excited every fucking time I came in here because this is what's up. Yeah. This is what we do.
And that's so crazy because, like, I'm really proud of it, too, because, like, I could never, especially growing up and stuff, I would never have thought I would, like, made it this, like, up to this far. Because I come from the same
real
thing.
Proud of
like,
yourself.
Come from a trailer park home, the ghetto, like, a bunch of, like, here, I've never really left New Mexico. I've always lived here my whole life, so every bad scenario or any bad thing people talk about here, I've seen it, and it's been done here. So I mean, I know about it. But being able to know that there's more than what you grow up in, you know, you don't have to live in that kind of, I don't know, want to say that environment or stuff, because I still love my parents to death. I mean, I didn't have the best childhood, but I still respect them to the fullest, and
of course,
all that great stuff. But if it wasn't for the hardship, I wouldn't be where I am or who I am right now.
Exactly.
And that's crazy to think about. I mean,
exactly.
And especially in your sense too, like,
it is.
You've done so much already in comedy where I'm just like, what? Why are you not famous? Like,
I know, it's weird. It is weird and I don't know fame or whatever. I've only lived in LA or New York. So I grew up in LA.
It's fame. It's fame.
Not doing comedy, doing drugs, hanging out with gang members, getting shot at, like shooting people, like not, you know, I didn't think I was going to live. So when I ran away not ran away, but I was already living on my own. In 10th grade, I dropped out of high school because I was living on my own already. And so I was like, all right, I got to get out of here. And so after the riots, I just decided to move to New York. My mom's a Jew from New York, so I went out there a couple times when I was a little kid. Like, she would send me to live with my cousin or whatever for a second.
So you already
like,
kind of knew a little bit about it and stuff.
And I was like, New York is badass, because in New York, everybody, it's like here. Like, everybody just does their shit, and it's not really judgmental of other people. Like, LA is the most judgmental town you'll ever fucking go to. Like, how do you know them? What are you doing? What are you working on right now? And I never liked that.
Was that even back then?
Dude, it's Hollywood. It's been that's how come it was built.
Like
that's from the 1920s. Like, that's a bunch of Jewish dudes from New York decided to go to Hollywood and build a bunch of studios because they couldn't get money in the East Coast. You know, they wouldn't give money to the Jews in the East. So these motherfuckers, poor ass. This is how come I wonder why people hate Jews. They just don't know the history. It's cool, but you know, whatever,
there's
guys.
So many things about
There's so much. But anyway, they came out to LA because they could get loans. They were getting loans in LA, and they were able to borrow money and build studios in Los Angeles.
And it just became that.
And it
part
became
of
Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's what Hollywood is. And that's why, like, oh, Jews run Hollywood. Well, they built it, but they didn't build it like from, you know, their inheritance.
Yeah.
Like the fools that all these people think are great. I'm like, these fools are all inherited babies. Like, fuck these people. We're good people. That we work our way up, Angel. We worked our way up.
Trying to.
But yeah, trying to. But here's the thing about getting stuff. Like, when I got on Def Jam, they told me, yeah, we got to put you like in braids. We got to put you in FUBU. Like, we don't know what.
But you did it once before. That's what's crazy. It's like they didn't try to change you before you did your first set there, right?
No.
Or after you did your set, they're like, hey, this would probably be a better approach.
Yeah, after Russell Simmons and like the company saw me.
Okay.
They were like, we don't know what to do with it, because they didn't know who to compare me to. See, Hollywood and the industry are very closed off, like minded. They only really want something that they can compare it to. Like, when they want to sell you, all the meetings that I've had, Angel, the first thing they ask me, who do people say you remind them of?
Really?
And I go, nobody. I go, I don't have that. That doesn't happen with me. People don't go like, oh my God, you're just like, I'm not just like somebody else. 'Cause I'm fucking, you know, Mae West. Like, do you even know who that is? She's from like in the 1930s. She was like a big boob. She's come up and see me sometime, big boy. Like, she's like an icon of Hollywood. That was a writer, a female writer, very bawdy, very sexual. And that's who I relate to. I'm like, she's the only one. Because you know why? All these female comics, yeah, that's her baby. Yeah, she's like, hey, is that a gun in your pocket, or you just happy to see me? Okay. That's her line. She wrote that line. She wrote all her lines in Hollywood. Like, a hard man is good to find. That's her line. Like, motherfucker, too much of a good thing is wonderful. Fuck yeah, bitch. What? That's what I'm talking about. Unabashed, unashamed, sexual, exciting, smart.
Yeah.
Okay. Joan Rivers, yeah. These ladies from the old school, yeah, hell yeah. They were fucking fighting their way. They made the path for us, right? But then you look at the female comedians from the last 20 years, even 30 years. Oh my God, Angel. They're all fucking victims. They're victims. Do you hear me? Amy Schumer. Oh my God, sex? It's so scary, isn't it? Scary. Oh, I'm a pig. I'm disgusting. My vagina's that. Fuck you, bitch. Shut the fuck up. Stop giving women a bad fucking sense of self. Stop talking shit about yourself.
Especially when Especially when she makes herself go out there. So like, I'm so like this.
Yeah, it's a bullshit deal.
Beauty thing, but still bashes down a lot.
She bashes herself. Sarah Silverman bashes herself. You know who doesn't? Margaret Cho. I respect Margaret Cho. She doesn't bash on herself because she's like a, she's like a bisexual. It's like the lesbian. I'm talking about straight cis women. Okay. Victim, victim, victim. And it makes me crazy. And that's why people are like, ooh, you talk like a man. I go, no, how come we're so brainwashed that because I like sex and I like men and I like talking about getting mine, people are like, oh my God, you sound like a man. And I go, are we that fucking brainwashed, America? That we're like, oh, look at this lady. You can't talk like Get Wood is my moniker, right? Yeah. Get Wood. I'm Jess Wood. Get it. I like wood. What? All that stuff. You know how many men in comedy have told me, men in power shouldn't use that. You're a pretty young lady. You should talk about how hard it is to date. You should talk about how you don't like your body. You should talk about fuck you, and fuck you. All that is not true. Yeah, I struggle with body. Everybody struggles with body. But fuck you, I like myself.
Yeah.
I want to fuck. I'm talking to dudes. I'm blowing dudes. I'm not like, it's not like I'm like Slutty McGee. I haven't fucked a comic since I've been here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I pick and choose.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to fuck a comic. It's too close. But you know what I mean? Like, I can't stand it when people say you're too dirty. Why? Because I like to masturbate and I talk about it?
Or they do try to like push you in a direction where they think you should be going.
Exactly.
Like, this is your comedy or this is what you should be. And I kind of get it,
too.
It's
so disrespectful, yo.
It's weird.
It's so disrespectful because they would never do that to a dude. And look, so Def Jam, they wanted to braid my hair, put me in FUBU. And I was like, nah. The audience likes me for me because I'm authentic as me.
Yeah.
And I know what I know. And they know I know what I know, and it's fucking for real. So it's like, I'm not talking about shit I don't know, but I'm not going to dress up and pander to your fucking black crowd. Like, ew.
Because that's how you developed. You already know.
Right. Yeah. That's me. I'm not going to change me. And that's how come I quit. I've quit so many times because people tell me you can't do what you do. You can't talk about what you talk about. You can't do racial stuff. You can't do characters like you do. You can't talk about sex like you do. I've been told all that stuff, Angel.
That makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all. I'm like, the audience is laughing so hard. I was kicked out of a club in New York City. I was banned from a club. So they told me I was too dirty. Here's the thing. The guy who went before me, the comic, because I was a regular at this club.
Yeah.
And I made money, and I was there three times a night on Friday, Saturday, and it was amazing for me.
Developed a fan.
Unbelievable. Had audience come back to see me, had write-ups about me. I mean, it was amazing. I was like, oh, I'm finally getting a little bit of my due.
Yeah.
The owner came up. He's like, yeah, you can't. You're really too dirty. And I go, your whole wait staff stops when I'm on stage. You know that, right? Your whole wait staff comes in the room and stops fucking working when I'm on stage because they want to watch. Like, come on, bro. Your people are coming back to see me. Your club's getting written up because of my. And here's the thing that got me: the dude who I used to follow on stage, he was a white guy comic, and he used to talk about coming in his girlfriend's eye, and that she had to wear a patch. But now he didn't mind because he was fucking a pirate. And I was like, of course you don't mind that because it's fucking with a woman. It's making a woman blind in the eye. Yeah, it's like, here we go, misogyny fucking rules again.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah, and then here I come out, and I'm not trying to be,
And what's even worse is like me agreeing with all this. It's like, oh great, that is a pussy right there. That guy obviously doesn't get the whole like being the masculinity part about it and stuff. Like,
you know what's funny, and you know what's real, and you know what's fucking bullshit America.
And when they fuck with you and don't give you the chances that you need because overpicked by a man or something.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong.
Or a chick that wants to talk about how her pussy's ugly.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, no.
Pandering to what the promoter or something.
Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like Eliza Schlesinger, lovely lady, but goddamn, stop talking shit about ladies.
You know how annoying we are. We're so annoying. Aren't we annoying?
Like, okay, her whole act is about how annoying women are.
And
men fucking love it.
And you know what's crazy? Is like, you're seeing that and you're like, fuck you. I'm not that annoying. I'm not you. That's for sure.
And there's a lot of women who aren't that annoying, Angel.
There shouldn't be. I would
There's
hope
men
not.
that are really fucking annoying too. So that's the thing. And that's the thing that I think is so insane that still in 2022, like we can talk all this shit about being, you know, even the fluidity, like sexuality, I'm so down with the kids. I love that everyone's getting into fluidity and having non-binary and all that stuff. I really fucking dig it. But here's the thing that I think is sad. We've skipped over the shame part of sex and intimacy. Nobody's talking about how people still have such a hard time asking for what they need, saying what they don't want, in bed, having intimate situations.
Yeah.
That's why I have a joke about consent. And then the guy choking me, I'm like, excuse me, young man, stop fucking choking me. We didn't discuss this. I didn't sign off on this. You know what I mean? Like, I signed off on you fucking me. You asked me if this was good. We were fine. And then all of a sudden, and you're going to spit on me? Like, I don't want that. And you know how many couples I know who are like, oh, I can say, like the girl says, oh, I could say I don't want that? Yeah, you can. And even the guy, oh, I thought she wanted it. Yeah, I know. We're not talking. Yeah, so it's like you can be non this or all that or gender fluid or whatever. I fucking adore it. It's beautiful. But if we're not addressing the real issues of intimacy and being able to talk to one another.
Yeah, people going in there confused at like.
Then what the fuck? I don't care. You're a girl. You're a boy. You're nothing. I'll give a fuck. Can you talk to someone and ask for what you would like?
Yeah.
In an intimate situation?
Or you end up finding it in like a fucked up way, like on the internet,
Right.
going to random rooms, and then like it turns into like this horrific kind of experience that you didn't want. Like,
right.
It's like,
IRL is a very hard place to be. I know, right? In real life, it's very hard to be in real life with everyone, especially since COVID. Even before that, we're so on our screens. Nobody's really talking, but we've never talked. That's the thing. About certain things, we've never talked. We've sold tits and ass, since television and radio began.
Yeah.
And yet, we're not allowed to talk about it. You know, there's no sex ed curriculum in this country.
Not anymore?
Never was.
Well, I remember going
No,
through
I know.
it.
Everybody has it. But it's not the same. It's not like there's
okay.
one that's throughout the nation that everybody goes, oh, and they adhere to this wonderful educational system of sex. No. Every county and every school can choose the way they want to teach about it.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that just leads to ignorance and
misinformation.
Yes.
All kinds of
and everyone's online, so it's like whatever. But anyway,
especially with what you can see. I mean,
that's
great. That's what makes it even weirder. Is like you just type in porn, but you see the most relatable search right now, and then it's gangbang or something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to see the aspects of developing love or like intimacy or any of that stuff. You're just like, oh, what is porn? Oh shit! First thing, gangbang. Holy shit! This is what people are into. I guess this is what I'm into now, and that's weird. And it's kind of like even growing up at that sense, it's just like, oh man, like I guess I'm lucky because I grew up in a sense where the internet was still in their development. I didn't get on the internet till I was like at least like 13 or 14. So I still understood about like Playboys and like naughty tapes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And you kind of get this different aspect of what a relationship and what falling in love and all this other stuff comes from.
You have to wait.
That's true too. That's very true.
You can't just beep, click it. There's something about waiting.
Well, you did back then too. The whole stupid deet.
Well, we didn't have a computer, but yeah, I know people that did that. But here, back to comedy, right? And it's the same thing. The sex stuff, the comedy, it's all the same stuff because we're humans that are in a the human suffering, the human condition. It's so hard. We're just living in these bodies. Who knows if any of this is even real? It could be a whole simulation, right? Yeah. So who cares that I was on these shows or whatever? But I will tell you, the Kill Tony, I know people love Kill Tony.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm glad that you went into that because I did want to kind of segue into that as well.
Yes.
So how many times did you appear on the show?
On Kill Tony?
Yes.
3 times.
3 times?
Yes.
Okay. So I think I saw number 2, but it was the episode with Bert Kreischer and Bobby Lee. Is that the
that
most
was my favorite one.
Is that their favorite?
I don't know. That was my favorite that I did because because Bert's such a dick, you know.
And there were some things that you said too where I was just like, holy shit, I need to know more.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Kill Tony that I really appreciated the pick, you know, because you don't know if it's real or if it's, we don't know ever still if it's real or if it's, you know, they have a bucket that they choose.
Yeah.
They say it's random.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel that way sometimes.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like that.
Because I follow the show pretty religiously.
Okay, so how does it feel as an audience member?
I feel like it's pretty random, but
Okay.
again, I love how they call it the bucket of destiny, because there are some times where you've gotten people that have gotten picked 4 times in a row that same week, and you're 4 times in a row every week, and you're just like, wait, what? And it's the most horrible act ever. And you're just like, is this kind of like for getting laughs? Because obviously the interview portion is what makes it so much funny, and why maybe they would keep picking that person compared to picking an actual comic, does a good set, and has maybe some minimalistic things to say where they're just like, yeah, lived a normal life. I do comedy, have a 9-to-5 job. Ta-da, compared to this random person where it's just like, oh my God, this is outrageous.
I don't know. Sometimes it seemed really random, and sometimes it seemed horrifyingly, you know, chosen.
Yeah.
Because I knew comics that were coming for years
And never got
and
picked.
never got picked. And that is just,
That's probably
yeesh.
heartbreaking, right?
Oh, it's horrifying. I mean, the energy in the room, because it always sold out. And I think it seats like 300 people or something.
Okay, see, that's crazy
Yeah.
too. To find the development of it selling out, because I even gone all
yeah,
the
it
way
came
back.
from a little teeny,
from the
original room,
the belly
or
room.
the belly room, yeah.
How cool is that though? Have you been to all those places in the?
Of course, yeah. I've played all those rooms.
That's so fucking
Yeah.
awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I could just imagine just being able to start at like the Comedy Store where people have. I mean, you go down the walls and stuff. You see all these famous people that have been there before, and it's just
You
like,
see them when you're there, yeah. I mean, even like I'm not starstruck from guys who were my age because I came up with them, like Bobby and Bert. I wasn't. You saw, I did not care.
yeah.
I did not give one shit for those.
Yeah, again,
kids.
like
I don't give a fuck. And Tony and them, I'm like, Redmond, you know, me and Redmond made out a million years ago. Like, he doesn't want to admit it. You know, he doesn't ever book me for the Friday night thing that he does.
Is
That's
that
so,
really?
like, so lame. I'm like, book me at the Ice House, you dick. I'm funny. And the thing, I don't know if you noticed, and I'm not saying like, oh, you have to memorize my guest starring appearances, but
I want to.
the
It's hard.
Thank you.
Everybody has so much when you start learning. Like Kurt Fletcher has done so much. I'm just like, holy fuck, I can't. Sarah Kennedy, I'm just like, I cannot follow all of you guys and all the stuff you've done, because it's just, especially finding out about like the stuff you've done, like the Access TV thing, that was crazy too.
Yeah.
Because I know you were telling me about that too, where the guy did not want to book you at all, but then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got this gig, probably be perfect for you. So that's
years on his fucking. I bartended at Gotham Comedy Club because of the promise that I would get spots, and he still didn't put me up.
that's so
And he was one of the guys in New York that told me you shouldn't use Get Wood. You're a pretty young lady. You shouldn't use that. Pretty young lady? Suck my dick, bro. Fuck you. I was like, here's the thing. People are laughing. Your audience is laughing when I'm here.
Yeah.
There's audiences there. I'm making crowds laugh. I'm doing my job. So book me, you know? But it's not like that. So, but anyway, Kill Tony here's the thing. My first appearance on there, you know, you have 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
You have 60 seconds to tell a joke or two. And
okay. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't mean
it's
to.
okay.
ruin
No. I'm like running my mouth.
No, I love it. It's amazing.
Thanks.
Okay, so when you got picked the first time,
Yes.
and then you got picked the second time,
Yeah.
was it a week? How many? What was the time span of the second pick?
I think it was 2 weeks later.
Okay, before you got the second pick.
Yeah, because I remember Tony saying, "Oh, we saw this young lady a couple weeks ago. She was a lot of fun."
And was that the Bert Kreischer one, or was that
The second one I think was Bert and Bobby.
okay? And then you still had another pick.
And then I had another one, yeah.
Was it in a longer time span, or still kind of the same one?
Still kind of short, maybe a
2
week.
weeks? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
And I've been hanging out. You know, I hang out at the store. Like, I
Yeah.
go every week even if I don't get picked.
just
to hang out.
like everyone else there.
Oh, yeah. The other fucking 7,000 comics.
And that's crazy to think about too. It's like, because now it's not as big, because you know, as they've relocated to Austin, Texas.
Oh.
Kill Tony is now being in Austin, Texas. So first it started off in this little club. Well, it's not little, but it's called a club called Antone's, where like it's really famous for having like blues players like Stevie Ray Vaughan and like Gilby Clarke and stuff like that play there. So Kill Tony was there for a while, and it was kind of like the beginning stages again. Like they
had to restart.
Yes, exactly. They didn't have a lot of people. The bucket was kind of like, oh well, look, we have kind of not as much to pick from. But then they ended up growing more, and I don't know if you know the whole controversy he's having with that comedian. I cannot remember his name. God dang. He's an Asian comedian that he was having a really bad controversy with.
Who, Tony?
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's the thing. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that they have controversy with fucking everybody, because guess what? They're not nice people, and they're low-hanging fruit. They're not. I shouldn't call them names, but they're not. They're not nice. That's the thing. They're not nice. They're not. They're not nice, and they're not interesting or smart. And here's why I'll say this, and I don't care. They know that I feel like this about them. I'm not scared. When the first night that I got chosen, my 1 minute was my joke about getting shot in a drive-by in Hollywood.
Okay.
And not being in a gang, but being with a gang. You know, whatever my joke is. You've seen it.
Yeah.
As soon as the cat meowed, which is the end of their deal, of my time, they were like, "Oh, how old are you?" And I was like, "What?" I go, "I just gave you gold. You don't want to ask me about being shot? Ask me about being in a gang? Like, what are you doing? Have you ever been with another girl?"
That's what I love.
You know what? It's fuck you.
Do you know a guy, a comedian? Well, not really a comedian, but a guy who's named Red Bar. I can't remember his actual name, but he's a guy that hates all the comedians from the Comedy Store. Like, he does not like Joe Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, Ryan Redband, or anything like that. And he brings up videos and stuff of like stuff that they do that's like inappropriate and shitty to Kill Tony and stuff like that. And I love that you bring that up, because it's first of all,
so stupid.
Don't get me wrong. I love Tony Hinchcliffe. He's a great comedian. He has his moments. He does whatever. But now Kill Tony has gotten to the point where he asks the dumbest and stupidest questions every time.
What do you mean gotten to the point? I think you need to go back. Here's the thing that I think, Angela. I think you've developed in your comedy. You've developed in your voice. And you're looking now, this happens all the time, babe. You're looking now back at people that you really thought, wow, these people are fucking great.
Gold, yeah.
And now you're like, I could, a little weakness here and there.
But how do they get, then that's crazy, because they got to a certain point, right? I mean,
haters hate, and they fucking get celebrated for it. Do you know how many nights I watched people bomb on Kill Tony's stage, and they would go to the audience, "Hey, do you guys like it when they bomb?" And everyone's like, "Yeah."
See, that's
and I go, "Why the fuck?"
Is that a bad thing, though? Okay, see, this is my opinion of it, though.
As a comedian, yeah.
But you go to watch your friends do great, right?
Yes.
You go, but is there not a satisfaction when they do bad, because you know that they're trying to do really good?
No. It's hard enough, man.
Oh,
Why the fuck? You have a friend that's a fireman, and he gets burned up in a building, and you're like, "I'm not so good of a fireman." Like, wait, we're comics. We're not supposed to go and fuck with one another. Like, I roast is one thing. I don't love a roast.
But yeah.
But in life.
But to the sense
why are
where
we doing this?
But to the
other?
sense where, you know, like, it maybe the offset of like, you shouldn't have wore that thing, or maybe the crowd was not with you on some sense, and like, not to the sense where you're like condemning them to like not do comedy ever again, but you understand why they bombed that night with them. Like, I don't want to make it seem like you're making fun of them, but it's more of a sense where like, dude, when they come up to you and they're like, "Oh man, I can't believe I fucked up on that joke." It's like, I know, why the fuck did you do that laugh? You never do that laugh. What the like, in that kind of sense, not where you're just
but
like.
That's a smaller. I think I'm sorry to cut you off, but I really believe you're talking about a smaller situation, correct?
Okay.
Not a room of 300 people live streaming all over the world. Nine people behind you on stage.
Exactly. Like more of like the open mic sense and stuff like that.
That's great. Very very funny and fun, and you can fuck around with people. But when your friends have been coming to this fucking show and waiting for 3 hours every week for 2 years, and they finally get their due, and they're up there for a minute and they don't do well, I'm crushed for them. There's no way I feel like, oh man, why'd you do that? Especially if they fucking have to stand on stage and then get interviewed for 10 minutes by some fools that are like, oh, what the fuck was that, Burke? You know, and I tell you what, you remember Malcolm Hatchett?
Yeah.
The darling, my little nephew? He quit. You know.
Like quit comedy?
No. Quit that shit.
Quit.
Yes. KT. Because you know why?
Because he
They're
was
not nice.
He was a regular, right?
Yeah, and you know what? They fucking used his ass. Like, they could talk shit about black people because they got a black kid that's in their show. Fuck you. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Same with Joel. He's not there anymore either.
Joelberg?
Yeah.
Well, it's because they left, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I mean, I know Chris and Joel stayed in L.A. and everything, but...
And I really respect Joel too, because
Joel's badass.
He's shared a couple of my Instagrams before where I was just like, holy shit, man.
He's sweet. He's the sweetest one out of all of them. And the first time that I got up on stage, I had already seen the show a couple times, and he had dressed up as what's her name, and the Cholita, and and he was like, oh, I had jacked him off. That was his like line for the show. I had jacked him off. Oh no, I went to visit him, but I had jacked him off in jail. And so I was laughing. I was like, I love this guy. Like, who's this jacked him off? And when I got up on stage the first night, I made a reference to that. I said, oh, shut up. You jacked him off. You don't know nothing. And they were like, yeah. Like, they kind of couldn't believe. And they're asking me, how come we don't know you? I go, yeah, how come you don't know me? How come? How old are you? I said, how old are you guys? We're probably the same age. We've been doing this long enough, right?
Yeah, especially the way
I
you
said,
brought
what the fuck?
the red band thing.
Yeah. I go, I made out with that fool. Oh, yeah. And he's all weird.
Went straight. They didn't even talk about it.
I know.
I got so upset. I was
So
like,
dumb.
what the fuck?
I'm telling you, they don't know entertainment. They don't know entertainment, man.
That's crazy.
And let me tell you, there was a whole crew of black kids that used to come to that show. They used to support like mad. They got T-shirts. Apollo 13 black kids that used to come all the time. And they fucking split too because they were like, no, thank you.
Wow.
Some hateful shit going on up there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't want to say it's just like spreading, but now again, they're in
It's just
Austin.
not funny. I mean, look, you can go anywhere in America and get people that hate on people. It's Hater Town. It's Hater USA.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, for me, I don't like that every time I get like close to something, people go, you're not supposed to do that. What do you mean? How come I can't be me?
Yeah.
Like, my best friend in comedy is a black guy who was told he was too white for the black rooms. And I was told I was too black for the white rooms. And I'm like, excuse me, what? And that's how come we became best friends.
It's because you had this like, hey, they're telling me to do this.
Well, he told me, he said, Jessica, can you believe they're telling us that we can't be ourselves? I said, I know.
You know what's crazy, though, is like when
he's doing really well.
But when you hear it from an established, like kind of like a comic that's been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
When they tell you like, hey, buddy, I don't think you should be doing that. Because like I've been told that I shouldn't be going up there with the pink sweater.
Why? Who? What?
I don't want to drop names.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No,
but that's just.
But see, that's like I feel so much more comfortable because I feel like that's me. Like.
Yeah, you have to be you.
But it's weird.
Don't ever let people.
But you can't. Do you think like you still can be you with this like neutral sense of yourself going up there? So like that's what people say. Like if you go up there with more of like a neutral sense, they don't expect what to find out of you.
Let me tell you something, Angel. Let me tell you something about comics. Every motherfucker's going to give you advice.
Everyone knows what they're doing, right?
Exactly how to do it and where to do and what to wear and be careful, you don't want to distract and you're talking too much about this or that. Fuck you. You know, comedy, we are an art form like none else. We're truth tellers. We're fully ourselves if we're good. Think of all the people that you love. And I don't mean Tony and them. I mean like, you know what I mean? I mean like the people that you go, whoa, like, God damn, they're saying something.
Like one of my old-time favorite old comics is Yakov Smirnoff.
Well, there you go.
He's so original because of where he comes from.
He wasn't allowed. There was not allowed comedy there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
The Ministry of Jokes. What? You have to have your jokes screened before you can even say any of them?
Uh-huh.
I was like, have it lucky.
That's right.
So lucky.
That's right.
And
that's why everyone's an expert, though, Ange. That's why everyone's an expert because we have so much freedom in our speech. in our print, in our press, in our, we can say whatever the fuck we want. So we're going to tell everybody else, hey,
And that's crazy to think about too, because I hate that I've gotten to that point where I've done that a few times too, especially with my guitar playing, because I've been doing it for like 15 years now.
Well, yeah, you're very good.
So I feel like when somebody's like, hey, am I doing this right? Like I'm trying so hard not to be that person where I'm just like, no, your technique is wrong. The whole form is wrong. This isn't how it should be done. But I should embrace what they're trying to learn and try to like excel them in whatever pattern they're doing it in.
Yeah, you got to let people be who they are.
Especially in music. Like I can't really tell somebody like, oh, this is the E minor scale and it's always the E major scale and you always have to play it this way, and like most of the best music, no one ever knew what they were playing.
Right.
So
and same with any art. I really believe that all the arts have this amazing place for this, a newness, an abstract, and something, whatever, like you said earlier, whatever you feel good about, whatever makes you feel good, your passion, your thing that makes you feel good, painting, guitar, comedy, acting, numbers, whatever the fuck, science, water, who fucking knows, that do it. And don't let anyone tell you you're doing it wrong. And when people ask you for advice, you give them the basics. Like you're a guitar, you could teach them, these are the scales. Yeah. Practice your scales. You'll figure out what your style is if you practice enough. Yeah. The same with comedy. You have to know what you're like. I stuck to my guns, and that's why people don't, if I would have said, oh, I'm like her, or I'm like this, they would have been like, oh, okay, cool. Or stop talking about these things, Jessica, and we'll let you play at our club. Like, no.
Interesting.
Yeah. No. And sexually, I was approached, I've never sucked a dick, to get further. And I don't judge any ladies or gentlemen who do. But I just chose a different route.
Not to do it.
Nah.
I mean, it doesn't.
I always joke I never sucked the right dick. I always sucked a dick I liked.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't want to fucking. I mean, all this stuff. Like even talking about, online and sex and no intimacy and all that stuff. I always think of like pop culture and what we're all seeing, what we're getting fed all the time. And even the Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson thing. I think it's really interesting that everyone wants to focus on his cock and not on the fact that he's like sad. He lives with his mom. He lives in a basement. He's suicidal. Women love that shit, dude. I mean, I hate to say it, but we were like, oh my God, I could totally help him. Oh my God. No one wants to focus on the parts that are sensitive, is what I'm saying. Like the pink sweatshirt. Hoodie, whatever you want to wear. Never ever have I thought, oh my God, Angel's blowing it with his pink fucking sweat, or that cool one that you have with all the patch stuff on it. I love it. Is that the same one we're talking about? Yeah. I love that fucking sweater, man, or jacket. It's too thin to be a jacket, but I love that shit. And you wouldn't tell Chuck Parker not to wear a flannel or some, Levi's.
Yeah.
Oh, Chuck, come on. I think you want to give more of a time.
Cut your hair, Chuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's everybody doing? We're all individuals.
Okay.
And we should allow each other to be the individuals that we are. And we should support and love those individuals.
The ideas, everything that you bring to the table, because they're so unique. Like,
right. Unless you're bringing hate, I'm all for you. Unless you're bringing some hate or some ignorant shit like... Bert, I don't care that Bert was chiming in about my mom being dead or how she died or whatever. It was just that it wasn't funny. Like, I don't care. I don't get offended unless it's not funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Even then, though, like, they try to do it to make it seem like if it's funny, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, they're like, I'm trying to get, what is it called, a shock laugh or something, too? Like, if it's to the extreme enough, they're like, oh, even that... Yeah. Even that noise is thrived by some comics.
Oh, sure.
Is just the gasps. And I'm just like, that is a little weird.
Everyone has what they, what they're doing and their style. I mean, like people tell me still not to do stuff. You shouldn't talk about abortion. I had a girl here tell me, we don't talk about abortion here.
Well,
She told me.
I've seen it too. Like
I said, I don't give a fuck. I talk about abortion, and it's important. And that's why comics, I think, who talk about stuff that, like, you talk about the non-binary stuff, and it's very, like, it's cute the way you do it because it's kind of hidden in a way, and I love it. But, like, people get so uptight. Why do people get so uptight?
I guess it's that, like somebody knows better than the other person.
Right.
Like you were
Everybody's
saying.
an expert.
Yeah. And especially that comes, I hate to say it, but it comes from the freedom of speech thing, right? It's like, hey, if I have the freedom to say whatever I want, my opinion is better than your opinion.
Yeah.
And that's my freedom to say that.
Exactly.
And that's crazy, but amazing. Because like you end up with situations like, is China really as bad as we think it is? And if it is or it isn't, then what are some things that we should do to kind of replicate that same aspect? Because I think China's bad. Don't get me wrong. China has a
I don't know. I've never been there. That's the thing. I think here's the thing.
Okay, the government of China is bad.
It sounds horrible, but so does ours. I mean, I know we're not communists really, but
to the extent, right? You're just like, what's going? Especially
we're kind of run by like 100 companies run us.
Yeah.
We're kind of numb to the situation. We say there's freedom of speech and freedom of press, but really is there? Because sometimes people get really fucked up for it.
Yeah, people get mandates to do certain things now. That's crazy.
Yeah. So who knows?
I love that perspective too. Like I bet you the people in China feel the same way when they talk about America. Like, I can't believe how unfree they really are. Like, they think they're free and they're not. And
well, if they've never been here, yeah. Like I said earlier, if all that we learn about one another around the world is from television or even from the internet, I don't care. It's not like, I remember when the internet came around and it was like, oh, I can talk to my friend in China. And I go, oh, we're in for it. We're so in for it. Because again, everybody's an expert.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was a fault of mine, like too much of it, but I'm very humble. Like, I don't claim to know anything. I don't claim to know anything. I talk about what I have experienced, and I hope to relate to people, and I hope to bring joy to people. But other than that,
But with the experiences that you've had and stuff, don't you have like questions about certain things that arise and come into
like
play?
Like what?
Like the government thing, or maybe like our question of why we're even here, or like space in general. Like thinking of that stuff is like really mind blowing because we can't even comprehend leaving the troposphere to seeing what the difference between our sky and space would even be. Like, I can't comprehend that, but I know it's something there, right? I mean, I
guess I've never been. I don't even know if those fools went in that penis rocket.
You don't think like
I don't know.
Like the James Hubble the new James Webb telescope, I think it's called, or something. They just launched a really new telescope that's like this amazing new telescope, but like
so they can see further into space.
It's further into space,
wow.
And it does its own like orbital pattern or something. So it's doing some crazy stuff out there. But is that one of those things where it's just like whatever they see, we portray as like the truth?
If you want, I mean, it's up to you. It's everyone's individual,
Because you have a pretty open mind, right, Jess?
I do. I'm open to everything because if I haven't experienced it, I can't say whether or not. If I haven't met that person or been to that place or done that thing, I can't really comment on it. I can comment on what I've experienced.
Do you like to imagine about it maybe, or kind of like think of the possibility of it?
When I'm on acid.
See, that's another I wanted to bring up, like seeing that part of like the brain that is like totally different. Like maybe this is like some kind of like dimensional universe where like there are certain levels of our, like us right now, like in between what we see right now between me and you, there's probably so much things going on that we'll never be able to comprehend or never be able to understand because for whatever reason, the psychedelic trip of being able to go in that state of mind or even being able to see some of it. Because one thing that freaks me out is like just looking into my like animal's eyes and seeing the difference of why their eyes are different and mine are different and what they are seeing compared to what I am seeing. Because that is a whole nother level. You can even talk about like how birds see in a different like UV spectrum and stuff like that. Like, what? What?
Where are we? What is this?
What can I even comprehend when I hear shit like that? Like,
So then, okay, so take all that, what you said just now, and put it in a pile and then think about fame. Who cares? You know what I mean? There's so much to this life. I didn't know I'd be living this long. I didn't know I'd experience all the things that I've experienced. I didn't know I'd have long relationships. I didn't know I'd lose people. I didn't know, I'd move to places. And yet, here I am. And it's all just everything that I've done brought me to this place. And it feels right. I don't know. Someone asked me the other day if I had regrets. And I'm like, regrets are for people who do stuff that they don't want to do.
What is a regret?
I've only ever done everything I want to do.
Yeah, that makes no sense. A regret to me doesn't really make so much sense, though, is because, like, if you regretted something, I mean, it's already been done. Something of an action that is already the past. Like,
right.
You can't really, like, if that is something you regretted, it shaped the persona and the person that you are today. Like,
yeah, well, you're carrying it.
Yeah, like, how much regret? I mean, that's a weird word that kind of always weirded me out in a way, because, like, how can you regret something? Like, I always tell my mom, like, do you regret having us when you were super young?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, because look at what you guys became. And she's just like, well, do you regret the in-between of what happened? And she's like, a little bit. I probably could have been a better mom and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, you shouldn't, because obviously what happened became what we are. And aren't you, like, she always tells me she's so proud of me and stuff like that. But I'm just like, you should be proud that it happened this way. Like, there's no, see, it's so weird, the path that people take and the things that come up and stuff. It just blows me away. Like, what would have been different? Like, and then the whole idea of, like, multi-universe spectrum blows me away in itself too, because, like, maybe that path did go a certain way and it is being experienced at this moment that, I could reflect on, and maybe I do get to see it in, like, my subconsciousness of a dream or something like that. Like, this
now
shit
you're
blows
going
me
way,
away.
way deep.
That's what I feel humans now don't imagine anymore.
Right. Like, we don't daydream. And it's bad for us, because daydreaming is really important.
Of what is, or what can, anything.
Or anything. Just daydreaming, whatever. I mean, I have a friend who's a medium, so she sees and hears spirits all the time.
See, that's...
So she's living in a place that I feel like is another dimension. She's got her one foot in another dimension, right? Because she's experiencing all of this sight that we can't see, because it's in another dimension. This is a sixth space, right?
And
that she sees.
That's what I hate too, is because, like, all of this, like, negative aspects of somebody seeing a spirit and stuff like that has clouded my judgment of that now.
Oh, you've been brought negative stuff from there?
Yeah, so when I hear something like that, I'm like, I think they're a quack.
Oh, that's so interesting. Well, I wouldn't really
I
don't know. I wouldn't really bring her up unless I knew it's a little scary.
Okay.
Her situation. She's this Mexican chick that I grew up with, but she lives in Hawaii now with her family. And there's no reason she should have any connection to me whatsoever. But she did get in touch with me after my mom died. And it was out of the blue. And she was like, girl, what's up? Your mom died or what? And I was like, yeah, how did you know? Like, we hadn't been in touch, no social medias, no, nothing like that.
But you did know her prior.
Yeah, we had known each other when we were little.
Okay.
But, like, a long time had gone by. And she just looked me up, found me. I was like, how the fuck did you find me? She's like, oh, I looked you up. I thought your mom came and talked to me. I was like, stop it. So once in a while, I'll be like, doing my show, when I do my live show, I'll talk about my mom. And then homegirl will log on to my show and be like, hey, your mom says, like, she's not even there when I do it. She logs on and goes, your mom says stop bringing her up. So just because of the timing, and also other people, I'm not the only one that she speaks to about stuff, and she hates it. She absolutely cannot handle how noisy it is all the time for her.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because you do kind of see that in a negative aspect too, when people go to like mental institutes and stuff, because they can't stop hearing voices and stuff like that.
Yes.
So
so it's a fine line,
Very fine.
Yeah.
Very fine line. Because I for one, don't want to say that it's not believable. I don't want to say it's not a thing. I don't want to say that, hey, I can't one day maybe hear spirits, or that there are spirits roaming around at this exact moment right now. Like, I would never.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you one time maybe say that our friend was a little witchy?
Who? Oh. Yeah, but
that's the same vein, babe. That's the same vein.
But it's
something out. You don't know how come she always says shit, and then people call, or she's talking about somebody, and somehow she and I can't talk about anybody badly. We realized we can't talk about anyone badly together when we're together.
I'm gonna try to say the name 3 times and see if she just appears. All right, I'm just gonna try to do that.
Oh, she'll probably text one of us. No, maybe she's listening or watching.
Yes,
perhaps she's here.
Maybe she is.
I mean, but that's the thing. I just wanted to bring her up because I think it's the same. I really think it's the same thing. I don't think it has to be some big like poltergeist or ghost movie or something like that. But there is something definitely that we don't know. You talk about all the dimensions and all the outer stuff. We just don't know.
Yeah, and that's what's that blows me away.
So, do you have a feeling like maybe you wish you knew because you want the control to fucking know the shit?
Yeah, I want to do it too. I want to be able to do that.
What do you want to do?
Like, that would be cool. Like, okay, thinking, because I hate to bring this up because it's kind of sad, but when I was young, I lost my brother at a younger age. But that would be cool. Like, I lost him when I was like 15 and he was 13, so we didn't get to really grow up together.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks to not know like the journey of what like I tried so hard to be a musician, and like I could just imagine being like those rock duos that you hear about all the time, like Angus and Malcolm, or like not
Oasis.
not Oasis, but all of these things like that. So I'm just like, that would be cool.
More the Almonds.
Hey, okay, they had that southern rock that was just amazing.
They killed it. I'm a positive Almonds people. I love the Almonds. I'm friends with Warren Haynes. Are you kidding me?
They're a little racist sometimes. So.
Oh God.
But
the song Jessica.
There you go. They did some good stuff. But being able to like understand, I guess, to be able to communicate, or like whatever those abilities of a medium would be, or a shaman, or because that blows me away too. Like, if I can't believe that there in the present day that there's a medium that can actually talk to like spirits or understand feelings better than somebody else, then why would I throw away the idea of a shaman back then?
Right.
Because that, to me, is just as it's really believable, because I freak out when I'm like,
where do we live?
Yeah, exactly.
My goodness, dude, if you don't believe in magic, you better move.
Well, it's not.
I mean, it's real. It's I say magic, I mean majestic the reality of a different dimension, the reality of a universe that exists so strongly that if we tap into certain aspects of it, we flourish with it and we grow with it. Like this is something unexplainable, right? That's why people get frustrated, and I want a proof. I need proof. Like, why not just carry on?
Well, see,
this.
I wish there was more people that did feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that there are not as much people that want to be like, oh, why do I live here? Why do I do these things? I should open my mind more, instead of it more. I hate to use this term, but sheep. It's more of a sheeple kind of thing. Like, people kind of follow an order now that kind of like.
It
bugs me. It scares me. There's sometimes where I go to Walmart and I'm just like, great. Here we go through the fucking sheep cattle maze just to get it all over with. And, you have to go in through one direction, come out the other way. And it just feels so like, just like I'm losing my self-awareness of being a human and more of an animal.
Okay.
Well, which we are animals, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
yes.
I'm losing more consciousness of wanting to understand why I'm here, instead of just like, I'm here just because I have to be.
Okay. Well, that's up to us, I think. I think that's a personal choice that we make every day when we leave our
just letting you know I'm
domiciles.
Here with my psychiatrist, Jess. Just getting it all out right now.
I think we all experience this. I think we all feel like, what is our purpose? What is the point of all of this? What is everyone doing? Why does everyone seem to be taking the same path? It's so numb and sleepy, but you're not. So if you're not on the same path as the sheeple, you kind of let them just do their thing, right? You don't have to be a part of that. But your path is this thing of like, what happens to me when I go to Walmart? I'll tell you I fucking love it over there. That shit is crazy to me. I'm tapped all into that shit. I'm like, look at that bitch. Look at that crazy. Woo, look at this family. I'm talking to people. I'm engaging. So I'm keeping my spirit fully alive wherever I go.
Okay.
And I think that helps because you keep your heart open and your spirit open and you're watching, especially as a comic and a musician.
Yeah.
Everything is inspiration. Everything is a joke, a story, a character, everywhere you look. And that's why when you said earlier, you feel bad for people. They go to their job and they come home and they turn on the tube and, and I mean, I do that a lot too, but I think there's something to be said about making a real choice every time you leave your place to go, you know what? I'm going to be open outside.
Yeah.
Instead of being on my phone every time I have like a moment, I'll daydream or I'll look for people. I'll people watch, Yeah. Or go to the park, Shit that's hard. It's hard to do that kind of stuff, but it's the most rewarding because then you feel like I'm fucking living.
That's why I kind of like the aspect now of streaming right now. Like being able to put everything right now that we're talking about is broadcasted to the world.
Wonderful.
I mean, unfortunately, the world isn't interested, but
you never know.
But it's available for them.
And you don't know who's listening ever.
Exactly. That's always the best part about it.
Yeah.
Like I love streaming my guitar playing
Yeah.
and you hear people come up and they're just like, that's awesome. I'm here from France. And I'm just like, that's cool. Like, dude. And the camaraderie of like knowing music that they know that we all know together. That's cool. And
amazing.
Comedy has brought me to this point now where it's like a new discovery. Like I love, like when I first discovered music and stuff, this is how I felt. Like I was just like, yeah, discovering bands, discovering music, what piano solos, what guitar piano solos, crazy.
Yes.
And now, like again, I'm maybe 3 years into the comedy scene now, and I've kind of always liked comedy a little bit. Like again, I've known about some comics. Like I always thought that young Tim Allen from his stand-up comedy days looked just like my dad.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was always the funny Mexican. He's always making his friends laugh and we have the stupidest nicknames. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the name Guapetas.
No.
It's so stupid that it just means a handsome brat.
Oh, I love that.
And that's what my dad used to call me all the time. My little brother was called Flecha Roja, which made no sense at all. You know what that means? It means a red arrow.
Oh.
Which meant no sense at all.
No.
Like, and then he had his nicknames. His friends all had nicknames. They all were laughing and stuff. But he was the clown of that all. And that's a cool little. I knew I had this like upbringing of comedy and stuff growing up because he loves the Latin kings of comedy.
Oh,
he knows
that's
all
perfect.
about the Paul Rodriguez.
Yeah.
There's this guy that's coming to Revel too that I just saw was on Latin Kings of Comedy. That
yeah?
I can't wait to see. He's coming on the 16th.
Nice.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun too. But
hell yeah,
I should try to advertise that a little more. But just understanding this, like being able to like be funny, be more charismatic, because that's a big thing in comedy too. Like being able to present your ideas in a very like noticeable and great way. Like you see it all the time where like if somebody goes up there with the notebook and they're kind of unsure of the joke, so they read it and they say it and it's like not as good, but after they practice it and they do it without the notebook or something, how much more it hits and stuff. So like I don't know, feeling like developing into this person that I am now with comedy is a great discovery, because you start understanding like, oh, there's offensive humor, there's clean comedy, there's prop comedy, there's people that are just there. One of the things that I want to do, but I'm still a little skeptical of, is doing musical comedy.
Oh yeah, why are you skeptical?
I just this is going to be crazy.
Well, a lot of people talk shit.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, a lot of people talk shit about my, act outs and why you do characters, Jessica. Why you do like fuck you? There's really funny. Ooh, Stephen Lynch.
Yeah.
You know him? Comedy guitar player.
Stephen
Lynch. Oh my God, fucking hysterical. Come at me, people. You don't like Stephen Lynch? Write to Angel. Take it up with Angel. Let me know what you think. No, seriously, he is a fucking badass, and he doesn't do as much anymore.
All right.
I only know the one. I know the top. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
These two?
Yeah. I think that's him. Yeah.
I think that's him.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And see, but it's been done, and I've seen it done. Like,
Yeah, sure, but you've seen it done good, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So what the fuck? And it would really cut you different from everybody else. And look, you know, and I guarantee whoever said the thing about the pink shirt will say the same thing about the guitar. So fuck them. And you know, there's going to be haters. Like Cat Williams said, you got 20 haters right now, get 40 by the summer. Because that's what they do. They hate.
They just
And fuck them. That's their job.
That's what you do, right?
Fuck them. They're always going to be there.
You'll develop fans as much as you develop haters.
Yeah. And haters means you're getting there.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I just don't know. One of the comics that's like he's not new to the scene, but he's really hot right now and doing a lot of New York stuff is Mark Norman.
Sure. I know Mark.
He's one of those guys where like I was watching because I follow everything he does, all his podcasts, every podcast that he goes on I watch. But he is one of those that brings it up where he's like, I don't know about a guitar. Guitar's kind of hacky. It's a gimmick because if you think about it, and it kind of makes me feel so sad too because I can say a joke, and if it doesn't hit, I feel like if I said it with a guitar chord in the background or some kind of other extra to it, it would hit because of
So
that.
what? So what? Don't you want it to hit? Here's the thing. Don't we want laughs?
We do.
You're not pandering. You're not a doofus on guitar. You're a badass fucking shredder. So can you make part of your comedy that you're a shredder and that you're here to do comic but we're fucking shredding as well? I mean, I don't understand. Like, it's like people saying to me, like, you can't do characters. You can't do characters that aren't white. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm not doing caricatures. You understand? I'm not making fun ever.
Especially when you have those experiences.
Yes,
like
these
said.
are my true experiences. And the only people that have ever come for me regarding are white people. So white people need to calm the fuck down. I had Karens Karening me before the Karens were invented.
So you think that's coming is more...
I had the women at Comedy Central tell me that.
So, but is it more extreme now than it was back then?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like society's finally catching up with me. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Finally.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Like, I feel like finally I'm getting, you know, the other night when I did Revel, when I did an extra long set at Revel for David, rest in peace. God damn. Yeah. After that show, I was out in the other side of the way it's set up is there's another side of the room, right? There's the outside of the room, and the show had ended and people were coming out of the showroom. So I was on the other side of the, like, where the tables are on the other side. Anyway, these people were coming over to me, and it was so nice, Angel. I'm going to tell you, every type of person came and gave me a compliment. And I've never had that before. Like, I've always been told, you're this type of comic, you're that type of comic, you only belong in these rooms, you only can do these. And I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I think that society is finally catching up to me in terms of like, yeah, we do actually like a woman who is friendly and seems smart and seems like she really enjoys herself.
Yeah.
And even though she might talk about stuff that's like, I guess, taboo, it seems fun
And you still
with her.
Yeah.
Like, I've been told I sound like a friend that talks to you about scary subjects. And that's like my favorite feedback ever. I go, yeah, that's exactly right. Because I'm not like shoving anything down anybody's throat on stage. And I'm not doing anything that's like pandering or anything like that. I am just telling my stories, my experiences, doing the best I can to get people to relate. And that's it. Like I keep saying, and that's how comedy works, is you continue to develop your voice over years and years and years, and you finally find what works for you the best.
Yeah.
And with all the bullshit that I've been told over the years and all the quitting that I've done of comedy and come back and, oh, I guess I can't not do it, you know, I realized the only way to do anything and get any success really or love from people is to be yourself wholly 100% and unashamed, you know, like I don't have any shame about any of my story. That's why I opened with you. You asked me about the why aren't you famous? I have a lot of trauma And as a traumatized child and adult, you live in survival mode. You don't know that you have opportunities or that people are going to be kind to you. You don't trust. I didn't trust anybody.
That makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
And I didn't like anybody. I was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Who wants to work with a girl that's like, fuck you all the time, you know?
You're so aggressive. What's going on here?
Yeah. I was mad. I was sad, you know? I was brokenhearted.
But you still have like this great outlook. Like you're not, you even though you feel like those stuff, you're still not like, oh man, I lost my chance. Oh, I can't do it. Like you're still striving for what we all are trying to do.
I think so. I think I really love, what's interesting for me is like to fight my ego being here. Because my ego's like, oh my God, Jessica, you're like older than everybody, and you're like here, and like you're like in like a small town that doesn't even have a comedy club, and you like have been playing like clubs, you know, in New York and LA. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? You know, that's this really nasty little voice in the back of my head that's talking shit. And you know, most of my person says, shut the fuck up, bro. We're doing this. This is an adventure. And you know how much shit I've got? You know how much success I've had since I've been here? Fucking been on the radio. I've been on all kinds of shows. I've gotten paid. I've gone out of town. Like, I'm like, wait a second. I'm thriving. Like never before.
You're doing more.
More than I've ever done. And I feel the love and the support that I've never felt before. What usually happens in comedy, as you probably know, is you start in your town that you grew up in. You start in your town. You get as good as you can fucking get. And then you go to New York and you get better. And hopefully you get an agent or some sort of representation. Then you get taken to LA because you have something to show them from New York to LA. That's the trajectory of comedy.
Was that the trajectory kind of always?
Yes.
Or is it different now?
No.
It's not different? You don't think people can kind of like do more of like road gigs and just like
less now?
Less?
Mm-hmm. There's less comedy clubs in the nation. There's less money being paid to the people doing the road stuff, like featuring and stuff. I mean, you could talk to Kurt or Neil about that kind of stuff because I'm not on the road much anymore. But it used to be that you needed like a credit to feature for people. You couldn't just show up.
Even just like...
There were more comedy clubs though. So if somebody say there was a club here and there was a comic that was coming through here who was from, you know, big in LA, but they knew that I was here because I knew them from LA, and they said, hey, Jess, would you feature for me when I'm going to be in your town? It'd be great, right?
Yeah.
But that's not usually the way it happens. Like, I'm going to go to Tucson in a couple weeks, and I'm going to guest for a friend of mine who's playing over there, but he's not from there. He's coming from LA to play there.
So then how does that technically work when, I don't know if you know how it works, if like when the Revel shows happen from people out of state and stuff like that, like... Well,
Jamar does the booking for that.
But everything is like even if like I feel like right now too, the comic that's coming from this Latin Kings of Comedy or whatever, he's bringing his own opener. And like... Yeah,
you can do that. I mean, I think it's with every club, it's different.
Promoter.
Yeah, every person is different. I mean, it depends on how big your draw is. It depends. You know what I mean? There's so many things that go into it business-wise. Because we know you can be funny and still not get work.
Yeah.
So.
And how... Like that you brought that up.
Here's your example in front of you.
Is that more of like a favoritism kind of thing?
Yes. I watched Amy Schumer. Again, I'm talking shit about her. I don't care. She's never hired me. I watched her take industry people out for drinks constantly. I asked people actually a few times. I asked different comics who were getting, God, they seem to be just getting all these things. And I was like, hey, how did you get all these things? And they go, oh, I'm friends with the girls at Comedy Central. Oh, I take the girls out, the people at Viacom are, I throw parties for them on Friday. We try to get them laid. We get them fucked up. I'm like, oh my God.
That's a lot of work.
I don't have, but if you don't have the talent, you're going to do the business. That's how it is on every art. If you're not that talented, your business skills are fucking jumping.
But isn't there kind of that thing too where you have that aspect, but you're just not liked. So that's why they don't do it. So like the booking or like putting you on shows and stuff like that where you're just like.
But how do you get liked? You kiss up to the people in charge.
But again, so if you have the skills, but you don't want to do that,
you don't get hired.
Then you just you stay.
I never kissed any ass. I never sucked any dick. I never was like, oh, but I never changed for them. They wanted me to change. I had meetings at the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store, the Comic Strip. I've had Gotham. I've had meetings with all of these guys.
Yeah, key word here.
But also, women in the higher places have told me that I'm not appropriate for them. We would never hire you. You talk about stuff that's really dangerous.
That's crazy to hear.
I go, life is dangerous, man. And if we're being pussyfooting around it, then what the fuck are we doing?
That's true.
Life is dangerous. And I know society's catching up because what's her name has a special out now that's fan-fucking-tastic. What's her name? She's wearing overalls, and it's real quiet and calm. Fuck, I should have. Anyway, Beth Stelling, Girl Daddy. That's the name of her special, Girl Daddy. And I think it's on HBO. But Beth Stelling, really stellar comedian. And you haven't heard of her because exactly what we're talking about. Yes.
Because of men.
Because she's not, look at the way she's dressed.
I know that
she has no titties out. She's not in a tight dress, which is usually, I love Rachel, who opens a lot for Amy on the road, Miss Feinstein, who I love, adore, and one of her biggest fans and friends. We're friends. She, when the whole scene in comedy started to turn to like girls wearing like really tight, like going out to the club outfits to get on stage, I was like, what's going on? What's happening? Yeah. Like, I'll wear tight shit or I'll wear a dress or whatever, but I'm not like in a club. I'm not going dancing, after I'm not in heels and like teetering about. I mean, it just seems weird. It doesn't seem like comedy to me.
Seems more like a show kind of showish.
Well, it's another pandering kind of thing. Yeah, like another pandering kind of thing of like, oh, I'm just like I'm just a weak girl, and it's like, come on, man. I don't know. It's just that's why I love this Beth, because, she says, if I could choose a superpower, it would be penis. That's one of her quotes.
Penis.
Yeah. If I could choose a superpower, it would be penis. That's what I'm talking about. See, she's real because penises rule.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like if the only superpower I want would to be black.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but only the positive aspects, because every time they would just call me a villain.
Well, you couldn't. Yeah, Black American, or maybe Jamaican or African.
That's what's crazy to think about too. Is like there's so much of a subcategory of every race now that like you get pushed into something where it's just like, oh, you're oh
yeah, I don't like that.
You're a Mexican Latino from the Caribbeans. That's who you are. You're not the Mexican from the mainland who was, hardworking and stuff like it's so weird how there's more of a genre space of not only
it seems
race.
It seems like people are scared, and that's why they do it. Like I always like to. Carly and I were talking about this the other night. I always like when a white person uses weird words like Hispanic or African American. I'm like, what are you frightened of? What the fuck are you frightened of? What is happening right now? First of all, Hispanic is a white person's word. Like, stop using that. It doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. It means I don't know what they've made up in their head that it means. I don't know. African American, how many of my friends who are from Jamaica are like, fuck you, I'm not African. Like, I mean, the thing is we can't keep judging everybody like this. We have to just be, and we have to be cool when people say to us, oh no, I'm Mexican, and you go, oh, you mean Hispanic? Like white people, again, there's like a policing that white people love doing right now, that they're like, African American. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you guys. Let people be who the fuck they are. And I don't even care if you're not that. Like, I'm Jewish. People look at me, they go, you don't look Jewish. I go, so what? That's what I am.
Yeah.
Just fucking shut the fuck up. Who cares?
What can you say at that point?
Yeah, and who cares? I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're not a dick to me, I like you.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you look like. I'm more scared of a white person walking towards me in a dark alley than a black person walking towards me in a dark. Trust. You know how many crimes white people do and get fucking away with it? You know how many crimes black people do and get killed? 0. These people, folks are selling a cigarette, fucking taking a jog, having a sleep. Are you fucking kidding me, America? Yeah, those are the criminals. That's insurrection. No, that was a tour gone bad. Are you fucking out of your mind? We've completely gone crazy in this country. I mean, it's always been, but it's because white people know they're losing the majority and they're freaking the fuck out, Angel. You know, there's not going to be white people in like 10 years. We're going to be the minority, which we've always been the majority because we were like, wow.
Yeah, this is the coming from wherever, yeah.
Yeah. It's supposed to be America. We love everybody. We let everybody in. Melting pot. No. You're from Sweden. Come on by.
Well, to a certain point, right? I think it's going to be.
Yeah, you're from Mexico. Get the fuck out of here.
It has to be accepted.
I mean, how do we do this? Why do we do it? What's going on? It's very strange. It's all just racism and bullshit.
And I think it's a capitalistic idea too. It's like, even if you are probably from Mexico and stuff, depending on how much money you can bring or provide for the American economy. Like, if you can go through the whole system.
Come and buy a house.
Yeah,
sure, welcome.
Go through the whole system. Yeah, you want to get your green card and all that stuff. We have a system that you can pay for that and get it over with.
A lot of money,
yeah. It's weird how that turned into a kind of aspect of our way of living now too. Is like, I've never been. I used to. I come from. I have a joke where I come from the small town or whatever. But for a long time, my parents and stuff were kind of like alcoholics and stuff, and I didn't want to live with them for long, so I went to go live with my grandpa. And he lived up in Taos, New Mexico, in an even smaller place called Pinasco. It's a really small rural mountain town. Like, again, my graduating class was 50 people.
Shut up.
So it's super small, and I learned so much about like being a hardworking man and doing the stuff to like, because it's cold up there. My grandpa doesn't have a heater. You have to get firewood and all that stuff. Like, it's so grueling to know like there's still that kind of life up there. But it becomes more of an appreciation when I came back. Yeah. Because when I came to live here, now I'm just like, fuck, I got to make sure the floor is always swept. I got to make sure that it actually looks, because it's just so much more of this disciplinary action that you get from growing up in a hardship like that. Yeah. And it's not a hardship where it's like bad life. Like, my grandpa was amazing. Like, he's a musician too. He smokes weed. He loves being super nice and everything like that. But he knows, like, we got to get up. Got to get up 7 o'clock, go get 2 loads of wood. Yeah. Then after that, it's got to be chopped and then put in the garage so that if the snow comes, it's ready to go. So we can have firewood for the winter and stuff like that. And learning that kind of shapes you more into like, okay, I get it now. Like, this is how we all should kind of be. But I hate to bring this up too, is like we turn into kind of like more of a like pussies.
Yes. Like, we don't have any hard work anymore, and we've made it like everything's so
handed.
Everything's so hard, and it's like, you guys, stop. Like, do you remember? There was a time when, like, remember Blackberries were big, right? And Blackberries went down in New York City for like 48 hours or something. Oh my God!
Like the phone service and everything.
Mm-hmm. You would have thought World War III was fucking breaking out.
Well, look at the COVID thing with the toilet paper.
Yeah, but I was like, you guys, you don't have your phone. Oh my God, I don't know. What could you do? Watch a sunset? Talk to your kid? Like, there's a lot going on beyond that fucking phone.
It blows me away. So
the fact that you understand the importance of hard work, that's why so many kids get sent to the country for like training, you know, like, look, this is how fucking hard it is in the country. Come back to the city, to your nice warm apartment and your fucking bed, and, you know, to understand how much good you have. And I think that's why I also feel like that. Like, I am so grateful for so much all the time, because I didn't have anything for so long. And now I'm like, oh my God, like my apartment here. Oh, I have a little outside area. Like, I'm like, what? It just feels fantastic. So am I going to lean into that? Yeah. Why lean into am I famous enough? I don't have, I look online. Sometimes I look online. Yeah, it's hard. I see people that I have been doing it longer than just flying on by me, you know what I mean? And I just go, they had a different idea. They wanted it more, maybe. They knew how to do it better. The game, you know?
Yeah, they played the game better.
But I don't, but there's, and I am still going. I'm still here. I'm still going. I'm not done. I'm going better than ever.
Yeah, and that's why I said I love that there's like no real regrets about it.
No.
You're just like, whatever. You
Yeah.
know, I tried. I see that they're doing okay. I'm not worried about like, that night I should have said this, or you know, you're not beating yourself up to a point where you're not happy with where you are at this point.
Right.
And that's what's most important is
I
like
think
the
you're right.
moments that we live at the moment.
Exactly.
Like you can,
It's all there is.
yeah, you can plan for the future all you want, but it's not as amazing as the moment itself, especially
Exactly.
with the past. Like it happened already. You can't reflect on the you can reflect on it, but you can't
It's
really
like rear view mirror shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you don't want to, if you're driving, you can't keep your eyes in the rear view too long.
Yeah.
But you can check it out once in a while, make sure something's not following you or
Yeah.
whatever you can get over in your lane. But I like to use that analogy because it's like the past is what created us. So obviously you're not saying deny it, but if there is some stuff that's in there that's still with us, that's okay. You know what I mean? I think it and growing up and getting older and then figuring more stuff out and being more open about things that have been kind of hard, or, you know, letting yourself take more chances and doing things where you're like, I don't give a fuck what people think. I'm going to fucking try this. I don't care. What does the audience think? As going back to comedy, to me, all that matters is my audience. I mean, it's a very nice perk to have your comic friends. It's a huge perk and it's wonderful. Peers are amazing. But what's most important is that you're putting out your true shit and you're getting your audience to laugh. That's it. All these other people, everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to have something to give you, advice to give you. But if it doesn't feel true to you, you don't take it.
That's true.
Basic as that. Simple as that. You cannot listen to the outside stuff unless you really respect. I mean, I'm here giving you advice. Unless you respect someone and you go, you know what, they've been through a lot, I want to hear what they have to say.
But there's a difference between like that's what I love is like there's a difference between the advice that you're giving compared to the advice that's given by other people.
Right. Unsolicited as opposed to
Yeah, exactly. It's more of an openness to like, especially like the way you present it. You're not feeding it down my throat where like this is the way it should be done. You're just like, hey, honey, if you like this, it might work for you. If not, I'm just letting you know because this is my experience.
Right.
Compared to the opposite where it's like, I made it this far because I did this. You should do it too. And that's kind of disheartening where you're just like, well, I thought we were like, you know, in the same way, but in different levels where, you know, you could present yourself in this way. Because I love the aspect of it because it's not a band. Like there's, because I love that I played music with a band, but there are some things that I messed up on that I can't bring back. Like we should have had more of a uniform look. And we should have been more like in sync with the music and like our choreography and stuff like that. But when it comes to comedy, all of that gets blown out of the water because it's just you up there.
Yeah.
And your reactions and whatever you do. You can look at your fellow comedian and he can give you the... but the other audience and the other people that are there are what really counts.
Yeah.
And that's another crazy thing that I learned too that blows me away is that like doing open mics for comics repetitively is kind of like, I don't know, it's not the best for you either.
No.
Because you're kind of...
Doesn't help you grow.
You're trying just to make them laugh. And
Yeah, but it
comics have the weirdest minds in the world.
And they're the judgiest people ever. Like, I thought of that before. Oh, I have that same premise. I don't know. I would have a better punchline for that. Like, okay, Jesus. That's why I say don't listen to us about like that. When I have an idea for someone, or if I say like, oh, I often will. I think I spoke to you one time even. I will often gently approach and be like, hey, do you mind if I talk to you about a joke that you have? Or do you mind if I give you an idea for like a punch or an edit? Or, you know, I want to come gently. I'm not coming like, dude, you got to fucking put this fucking, to cut that and put that, like, no.
Yeah.
we're sensitive. This is, my Aunt Vicky Shoy says, I don't understand. People tell you not to take your comedy personal. It's all fucking personal. And I go, yeah, I know. So there's a weird thing that we have to do where we have to kind of give a little space for ourselves and go, all right, this is what's working for me. If someone wants to give me some unsolicited advice that makes me feel bad, that they can suck a dick. But if someone wants to come over and be gentle with me and say like, hey, can we chat about your joke or whatever, then I'm going to be open to it. Like I asked Steph the other night when I saw him, I was like, hey man, I really have a couple ideas for like, the thing you were talking about soap. You know, he has this bit about soap and the shower and stuff like that. And I go, I don't know if you'd be into it, but I'd really love to like sit with you and we could like, banter, do something. And he goes, fuck yeah, I would like to do that with you. And I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't just assume that I could load my, push my shit on him and be like, hey man, that thing that you do, you should do this.
Do you think though, do you kind of think though, because of the clout you have as well though too? Like, I mean, you've been doing it a little longer. I have been doing it a long time. But you would have to like me though to be okay with me doing that. Okay. Because look, you've seen or known people that have been doing it as long as me, come through town or been back or whatever, like that don't maybe have the nicest approach. And that you don't want to take their advice. Makes sense, yeah. So I genuinely hope that it's more about my energy than it is about my clout. I like that you say have clout. Yeah. I mean, do anything for clout. I love how people say like, your credits don't really matter because now that I've like got to know some of the comedians and stuff, it really doesn't. No. But like in a comic sense, like being a comic, trying to get to the levels where you guys are, that is like, oh shit, you've been on Kill Tony 3 times? Holy shit, you've done a Def Jam? Like what? Yeah. Who does that? Who's white?
Yeah, I know. Very weird.
You get blown away by the accomplishments that have been done, but then they're just like pushed under the rug because you don't know about them. Like you almost feel like you should be like kind of like a woman of history. Like what?
Well, maybe I will. Maybe when I die, Angel, I often think that sometimes people have to pass on, and I don't mean to be morbid, but I do feel sometimes people have to pass on for their work to be found.
And what's sad about that is like you've seen it. Like you've seen it with famous people, like all their music, art, music, their comedy as well too. It's like what? Yeah, they were alive and now they're the biggest thing ever because they're dead.
Like Mitch Hedberg is bigger than ever. He was never this big.
I've seen so many. Dead. I've seen so many Louis Anderson clips come up now because he passed away. I'm just like, really? I knew this guy was a kid when he had that little cartoon show, the Louis Show or whatever. Like that's how crazy that
Saget
happens. Yeah, Bob Saget as well too.
Horrible comedian. I thought he was horrible.
See, and that's another one too. You like his music comedy because he brings out a guitar.
I liked his musical stuff, so. But I didn't like his stand up. I thought it was I've seen him live a bunch too, and I'm like, Bob. I understood what he was doing, and he was a very nice man, and that's why most of the stuff about him was like how nice he was, right? He because he was America's like dad for so long, when he would come out on stage he'd just be horrifying, just that shock humor kind of thing, and that to me I don't find it bright. I like smart
witty comedy. Yeah, that makes sense.
You could be dirty as hell, I don't give a fuck, but be funny, smart about it. Yeah, like he could have made all kinds of jokes about those girls and fucking those girls, which he did, but he didn't make it smart. So I was like,
like, look at me, don't I look like I fuck girls? Like something stupid.
The Olsen twins.
Yeah. It wasn't something that he just didn't do it.
It just was, I don't know, it just fell flat for me. But you know what? As in with all art, because as with any art, it's subjective. So not everything is going to be for everybody. And that's another thing that's very hard to learn, that not you, but one may be not for the masses or for everyone. Like I've met people and even at the radio station here, I had an incident at the station, not myself, but I didn't know they didn't like me. They just didn't like me. And they didn't say why, but they just didn't like me. And that's okay. I'm not for everybody, Yeah. And I could have brought more listeners, more followers, It was a great show that I pitched, the sponsorship, like all the stuff was there. But if you don't like me, you don't like me.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Yeah. And I can't take it personal. I don't like them either. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
I didn't, as the more I delved into the company, I was like, oh no, this isn't for me. You're right. This isn't. And I think that part of the not regretting or knowing that we're where we're supposed to be or living all the moments fully to the fullest, that's part of it is like, there's a lot of disappointments that are going to come up. A lot of people are going to say no. A lot of people are going to say they don't get it or they don't like it or whatever. But if you enjoy it and people that you perform for enjoy it, you got to keep going. You know? It's not like it's there's never been crickets when you've been on stage.
Yeah.
You know? I've seen you this whole time I've been here.
And that's the beautiful thing too, is like the entertainment aspect. Like that's why I like to do it, because I like seeing somebody get all happy and stuff. That's why I started playing guitars, like, because, like, well, to be truthful, it was for ladies.
Girls, I was going to say, come on, every guy.
Every fucking dude that starts playing guitar does it for chicks.
Of course.
And
since the beginning of time.
But you get so into it that you get more than just chicks.
Yes.
And you're just like, holy shit, 90% are dudes, but yet they love what I'm doing.
Right.
And that kind of puts you in this, like, I don't want to say like a pedestal, but it puts you in like, he is doing something that all the other men and all the other people in that group aren't doing.
Yes.
And that's cool. And that's awesome. Then you have those people that are like, maybe I can do that too, because
they're inspired.
Or I never look like somebody that can do something like that, because that always blows me away too when people tell me like, you never went for wood, or you never used to go out with your grandpa, and I'm just like, take off my shirt, and I'm just like, are you sure about that? Because I may look like a twig, but I've done the hardships, and I don't have to present myself in the way where I'm just like, hey, I have all these credits, or I have all of this clout, and put me on shows right now. Put me on shows, because I feel that right now. Right now, I feel like I see people get put on shows, and I'm just like, why would you put him and not me? Like, that guy started way later than I did, and he's not even funny. Like, I feel these, like, again, like this. That's what sucks. Like, I shouldn't feel this way, but I kind of feel like it's like a, like a game, like a clout kind of thing. Like, this person is friendly with this person. Like we were talking about too. Like, hey, maybe you had to kind of like pander yourself to get into something like that.
Not so much pander, Ange, but I want to ask you this. Have you put out avails to people? Have you hit people up for shows? Or do you just assume that people are going to come to you at a certain point and book you on their show?
See that? Yeah.
Because those are things as comics, and I don't want to make you feel bad, because that's exactly what every comic feels.
Yeah.
Every fucking comic I've ever met, ever. And the comics that really get the more shows are the ones that
ask for that.
Yeah. Because, 9 out of 10 times it's the asshole that's asking 7,000 fucking times that's going to get on the show. And you're like, why the fuck is that guy on the show? Because he asked 7,000 times. Doesn't even have to be good. The people who book just want him to fucking shut up. Do you know?
Okay.
So many things get booked like that. I can't even tell you. I mean, I don't know about here locally.
Yeah.
But from where I'm from, I mean,
that's what happens
it's
a lot.
all that happened in LA and New York, and that's why I wouldn't get a lot of opportunities, because I wasn't like slamming the fucking door down, blam, 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 and every day at their place and like, hi, how are you? Hi. I just couldn't. I was exhausted. I'm like, I like writing. I'm writing material.
Yeah, and it feels like you kind of like have to like parade yourself. Like you're kind of like, oh, hey, buddy, I'm here, here. Look at me. Like,
yes.
Like especially when you do like the initial grind where you see and you
got to ask who books this place. You go up to the booker. Hey, what's up? My name's so and so. I'm a comic. I'd love to play here. But you're not pandering. Here's the difference between pandering, sucking dicks, and really just networking yourself. Networking yourself is just you going out as you're a cool guy. You make your rounds. You go say what's up to people. Hey, what's up, man? I've been doing comedy for a bit. I see you're booking a show. Love to do it sometime. I'll hit you up if I don't hear from you.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be anything weird. But we often, or at least I know I do,
I'm already trying to make
a lot of weirdness on top of it. Like, oh, but they think, and oh my God. I mean, especially for me, my ego comes up and goes, how could you possibly go and ask for a spot? Just because I'm a fucking human being, and these people don't know me. And there's all these other people hitting them up for spots, and maybe they don't think I'm interested. Maybe they don't think you're interested.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We can't read everybody else's minds. So what we have to do is put the best foot forward and know that we're our truest selves, and do the best job that we can.
Yeah.
You know the 4 agreements, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, man, see, that's why I wish I was like a clairvoyant or something. I just know what's going on.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And even my medium friends, she's like, people hit her up for like game scores and Super Bowl outcomes and shit like that. And she's like, fuck you. Hell no. No. She's like, I don't use this. You can't use me. This is a gift that comes, and I'm here for the spirit that comes to me. I'm not going to fucking find you how to score.
And I'm pretty sure for her too, it's still an experience.
Yeah.
Like probably learning more every day, understanding it more.
Oh my God,
it's
yeah.
not just like, oh, hey, I've known all this since birth,
No.
and this is what I do. Like,
it just started probably the past 15 years too, of her understanding what had been happening her whole life.
yeah, see, that's
And then I think an auntie or something, like she reached out to an auntie that she knew had been people always talked about the auntie being like a witch or whatever. And she was like, auntie, what is happening? And then so she got somebody to actually help her calm down, you know, and accept what was happening.
I could totally see that too.
But I think that's just how if that analogy can go across the board for us, we could use that as comics, right? Just calm into like, what do you want, right? Do one scary thing every day. That's what I say. One scary thing, an email, a show, a mic you never been to, fucking hit somebody up for something. One thing, you know, try it. Try one thing a week first. If you're scared of one thing a day, you know what I mean? Fuck it, who cares? But at least you know you're progressing towards something you want, and then you can't look back and say, I fucking should have hit those people up for those spots.
Yeah.
Right?
Or the aspect of just doing it.
Yeah, it's practice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's practice because it's gonna get bigger, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to keep being used to it.
It's that the rule of the Japanese, right? Like the 10,000 hours. You have to do it. Like you have to put in the time. Like if it's not there, then it's not going to be accomplished. Or I've personally never met anybody that was instantly a great at what they do automatically.
You can't be, I don't think.
There's
I mean,
very
genius
little.
people.
Yeah, very little.
Like
but
Mozart or something.
even then, like
he had a lot of
development over
training.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so crazy to think about. So even
the
world is this weird, amazing place, Jess. I'm just weirded out by it, but yet I still love living here.
That's the whole human condition, I think. Is like, what are we doing? But what else is there to do? I mean, I've lost so many friends and people throughout the years that I guess I'm supposed to be here for a reason. You know? Why didn't I go when all these people went? Why didn't I go as a kid when these kids went? Or why didn't I get caught up in that? You know, I don't know. But I'm here. And I'm just going to make the most of it, you know? Just like have a good time. Who cares? Fuck it.
Yeah, what can
Life is
you do?
hard.
Yeah.
We might as well have a good time. And most of that great time is knowing that you're enough to chase the dreams that you want, and that you know that we're going to have to begin, and you know there's going to be some shit, and there's never an ending until you die. There's just never an ending. It's not like we're ever going to be like, well, I guess I'll put up the guitar. You're not going to put away your guitar. You see your grandpa.
Yeah, it's going to be something
It's
that
forever for your life.
Yeah.
Same with comedy. See these motherfuckers out there till they die.
Yeah, and
still on stage.
Yeah, especially when you see people that like aren't famous but have been doing it their whole lives.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, that's crazy.
I can't stop. I've been doing this more than half of my life. Yeah.
And yeah,
I can't stop.
You don't. Well, that's the thing too. Is like, I love that you don't see anything else. You're just like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh, maybe in 5 years I'll already have like my house and kids and stuff. Like, it's not like, because you know, like, I've always been like very scared of thinking of the future because it never comes out exactly how you exactly want it.
We have no control over anything. And I had a boyfriend who actually passed away when we were together, and he used to say all the time, God, make plans and watch God make fun of you, or something like that. It's like, make plans and God fucks them up, or something like that, where he's like, you don't know what's going to ever happen. And I couldn't believe that was his favorite quote, and he fucking passed away. I was like, oh my God,
right.
dude,
Yeah.
fucking right. And it was, I mean, I don't think it was as heavy as it could have been because of how much he felt like that. So his death was like, I mean, I was very sad, but it was,
so, yeah.
you know, and I wonder, and I don't want to harp on your stuff, but I wonder if you've ever had any kind of feeling like that you have, like help from your brother, or like that there's been times that you felt like maybe giving up on something and you felt like there was something there that kind of pushed you that you don't really know what it was, but maybe, you know, again, with the spiritual stuff, I know you're not so into that part,
yeah.
but I just wonder because you have you have such an open, broad artistic energy, and to have come from where you come from, to just be able to be on your own all this time and be able to keep building. I just wonder if at any time ever there's been like a point where you thought, oh, I feel like I'm not really by myself doing this, that I may be getting like some sort of help.
I wish I felt that
spiritually. Yeah.
I wish I felt that way.
Okay. So you really feel you have it all on your back. Like it's all your deal. Yeah.
You should feel my shoulders. They're horrible.
Tense, very
so
tense.
much knot. It's
Yeah.
the worst. But I get it though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even with my guitar and stuff, I feel like I've gotten so much better. Like, because I started playing guitar when he was alive and stuff, but I never really took it as serious. And I guess you can say, you know, that little stepping stone of like understanding like, hey, I'm alone.
You're a solo artist now.
I need to just do this by myself, or I'm going to end up, you know, finding out something by myself or something. But I just feel like all my progression and just getting it done is probably because maybe he's just like, yeah, do it yourself. Like, you know, I can't really be, because I just remember like picking up a magazine and reading the notes and trying to understand and do it's all self-taught. Like I never really had a teacher to be like, hey, this is how you hold the guitar, this is how it does. But my parents were always like, well, I'll buy you whatever you need to learn or whatever. So I'll just be like, there's a Guitar World magazine, they sell for like $7. It comes out every month. Can you buy me that every month? And I'll try to learn from there. And it kind of grew out of a process of like doing that, sitting there, being like in isolation, like no sound, no nothing, probably thinking about my brother, probably being like, man, I wonder what we would be doing if I wasn't just sitting here by myself. And, you know, so those little things come up into play where it's just like little motivational boosters, or just those moments of solidarity where I was just like, well, just might as well get better, or just understanding. I thought, and I always was thinking so much when I was playing guitar, like so many thoughts and stuff going through my head. And it's crazy that now that I'm older, that I want to talk more, that I'm just like, hey, I want to talk about everything that's going on in my brain right now, because it just feels like I wasn't able to do that growing up, because I was like, my parents, God rest, they love me to death, and they're the nicest and awesomest parents I could have, but they had their problems too. Like,
of course,
they had me when they were super young. They always fought. They had drug addictions. They did their best. I mean, there was some times where I remember like we got Christmas the day of Christmas, so we didn't even know what presents we were gonna get. Like, we didn't have a tree, nothing. But my dad had to do a side job, try to get money. And we ended up going to the Family Dollar and buying us all toys. I mean, you know, those moments felt so shitty growing up, because I was just like, what? Look at these guys. These guys get all this shit, and I'm over here. This is my life. This is no fair. But older, now that I'm there, I'm just like, damn, they tried so hard. Like, I could have got nothing.
Right.
I could have been like nothing at all. Like, I could have had a even horrible childhood than what I had. Like,
right.
I'm not saying it was the best, but it wasn't the worst either.
No.
And that's what makes it so beautiful, is understanding that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm grateful for what the childhood that I had, because it could have been I couldn't even have known my parents. There's people that I've known that are just like, I don't know my parents. Like, this is my foster family. Like, I've known them my whole life. I'm just like, damn, that's hard. And then growing up, you see this like proper nuclear family
right.
where you're just like, hey, can I go to your house? Can I go hang out with you? And they don't even want to hang out with at their place, because it's so structured.
Yeah,
they want to go to
your house.
Yeah, because it's so disoriented and broken. They're just like, we can do whatever we want over there.
No rules at your house.
Let's go have fun over there. And I'm just like, it's not as great. You have cool stuff, and we got to be at least in your room and hang out and do some cool stuff. But And the other side, we're like back at my place, like, hey, if we're lucky, we got to look at a porno or something.
Right, anything goes.
It was crazy to think of that dynamic too, where I as well introduced kids to a world that they probably would have never known because all of their friends were these uptight guys that all live in the suburbs. Right. And then there's one dude that's like, hey, he's from the ghetto. Let's go hang out with the guy from the ghetto. And they learned more from that.
You have to hang out with everybody from all over. I mean, I talk about it all the time about being from LA and growing up, how I grew up, how it was fantastic. Like I had friends. We didn't even talk about race or anything like that, but it was very, like my Chinese girlfriend across the street. I always ask, like, how come your mom always has a rice cooker, and she's like, oh, it's because it's traditional. We just eat rice with every dinner, almost every meal. I was like, oh, cool. And then that was that. You know what I mean? And like my Mexican friends, like, why does your mom always have a candle burning? Oh, it's for the people that have passed and, respect for the, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. But like, I never would just assume like, oh my God,
that's weird,
satanic, or whatever the fuck people, you just ask questions.
Yeah.
And everybody looked different and everything was really different, but you just asked questions and nobody was like weirded out that you asked, because it's better to have a conversation than to cancel people.
And that's what I feel is
that's lost right now.
Yeah, that's the problem with us as well. We just don't know, like,
right, we don't know each other, we don't know anybody.
Like understanding like the upbringing of somebody and their history and stuff, like the rice thing, like you'd never know that until you actually like delve into the history of like Asian culture, and you're just like, oh, that's their major agricultural crop is rice. Compared to us, we just do corn. That's totally different. And then you end up finding out like, oh, that's why their diet and why they're so skinny is because of the rice, is because how many actual
no cancer.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of calories that they get with a small amount of grain compared to a kernel or a wheat in America.
And also kernel is sugar.
Yeah, you learn so much from these, and you're just like, oh my God, I get it now. But growing up, you were just like, oh, you're from a different, like, especially me, like, I did not get more like open-minded and know about the world more until I actually kind of like experience these different, like. But
that's how it is. That's all we can do. It's experience.
Because we don't know. I don't understand.
I'd never been to Santa Fe. And my friend brought me to she drove me to Santa. And since I moved here, you know how many people have said to me, you sure you don't want to live in Santa Fe? And I'm like, why? What the fuck is Santa Fe? And they take me over there. I was like, ugh, why would I want to live here? It's all white people with cowboy hats and like weird like Rolex. I mean, I'm not dissing Santa Fe. I'm sure it's one of the oldest places in the nation. But for me, as like a white lady, and I looked around and I saw these like, no, I like Albuquerque. And then people kind of fuck with me. They're like, oh, you like Albuquerque because you're from fucking Hollywood. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel more comfortable in Albuquerque than I did in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It has nothing to do with, it's just an energy.
And that's all. That's shitty about that too. It's like you understand the history of that stuff and you're just like, wow, it's so gentrified now.
Yes.
It's not what it
used
to be. Like it was more of like an old settlement kind of thing where like it was barter and trade, fields of crops.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love that because if you go a little more north of Santa Fe, that's where my grandpa's from, is Penasco. And that's still, I mean, it's kind of making me so sad because it's starting to turn into more of like a gentrified kind of like, hey, industrial thing where they like threw in a Family Dollar now, and there's an
they
actual
paved a road or two.
And there's a commercial gas station now. It used to be like the mom and pop gas stations now, and there's this one now. It's the Conoco, and you're just like, well, there goes the other gas stations, because how are you going to compete? You have to try really hard. Like the great thing about the other ones is like, it's a mechanic service on the side too. So
if your
car breaks down, you can't go to the Conoco because all it is gas, you know? So you still have these other options to deal with and stuff, but that's being lost in itself too. Like it's just like, I would love to live in Santa Fe if it was more of an original Santa Fe, with like more Native Americans and more of like actual like of its upbringing, not now where it's just like, hey, now it's a bunch of white people trying to preserve something they don't understand.
Right.
That's how I feel it is.
It was a Rolex store in Adobe. I was like, okay, no.
They took down the statue of a conquistador.
No.
Yeah, there was a big controversy about that a couple of years ago before, because again, I mean,
is it a cancel culture thing?
Yeah, it is.
What did he do?
He did kind of genocide a lot of the Native Americans coming from Mexico to the northern land and stuff like that. But he discovered Santa Fe. He discovered Albuquerque. All those are named after those conquistadors.
Was he the Duke?
No, he was.
Who was the Duke?
What was his name?
Why they call this place Duke City, right?
Yeah, because one of them. But I think they all had like that kind of title. Like,
oh yeah.
So once Cabeza de Vaca, one of them, he was a Duke, and then another guy comes where he's like Cortez. He's a Duke as well. So they have different. The men in charge of the cavalry or of the conquistadors were the Duke. The Duke was the one in charge. And again, I'm probably fucking butchering the history at all. I'm not a history major at all. But they all wear the same hat and stuff. That's where the Duke hat comes from, is the conquistador hat.
Right.
But which is not a thing anymore.
Well,
we don't have the Dukes anymore.
Right.
The Dukes isn't even a thing.
We don't Duke.
It's not a Duke. We don't Duke anymore.
We only Duke it out.
We only Duke it out, but there's no Dukes and Duchesses.
No, thank God, though, really. I mean, I don't know what the difference is between, senators and dukes. You know what I mean? They can do whatever they want to.
Right. Is there a difference?
Yeah, I don't know.
So many political powers now.
Yeah,
like, is my governor more stronger than my mayor, and why?
Yeah, and who could I write to about this bullshit?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Makes me want to be a governor, but then I feel like I would just be corrupted by the system.
I think you have to be a little corrupt to get into politics, no matter who you are.
And in general,
especially in this country. I mean, I think, I loved Obama and I loved Clinton. Those guys were pretty cool, right? But
cool. I love that you used cool.
They were cool guys.
They're cool.
But that's just like, I could make fun of Republicans saying that they loved Bush and Trump because those are cool guys.
Yeah,
like, I think they would think the same thing in a funny way, but just totally different side, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, those guys are cool.
Yeah.
Those guys are fucking cool. I'd like to have a beer with those guys, and I feel like Clinton and Obama, I'm like, oh, those guys are cool. We could talk about some deep shit.
Yeah, we could play some jazz.
Yeah, we could tell jokes and shit. Nobody would be offended. It's like, they're kind of cool. But of course they're not 100%. I mean, I loved that the Obamas tried to get us healthy and, and Clinton wanted to have, his lady tried to get us health care and stuff like that. But it's, you have to go through so many things. Like when the folks on Keith and the Girl last night were asking me about my police interaction. And I said, look, the way I look, I've gotten out of a lot of shit, but I will tell you this. Whenever I was traveling with people who didn't look like me, my friends who didn't look like me, and I was the only one who looked like this, the cops would separate me from them. And they would ask me every time, Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Miss, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? Am I okay? I said, fuck you. That's my boyfriend. And then I would get treated
as them. Like that whole group that you were there.
Yeah. Violent, on the ground, pushed against cars, down, thrown down.
And now it's even crazier because it's if you just don't agree with the authoritarian policy.
Yeah, they
really start just like, oh, you're under arrest.
Yeah.
Why am I under arrest?
Right.
That's it. You're
done.
That's
what I said to them. I go, I would ask for badge numbers and stuff like that. Like, I'd be like, okay, you're hurting my friend. You're hurting my friend. We didn't do anything. Let me see your badge number. Oh, badge number, pow. And then they just, I was now down on the ground, so horrifying.
Yeah, that's so
horrifying.
Yeah.
But, then you get, but by being raised like that, I understand how bad it's been before Rodney King.
Yeah.
Like when I was a little young, beaten up, not cops, horrifying. So I always knew that they were not okay. They need to get revamped. They have to revamp the whole system. And that's pretty much what all of our stuff is like here. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Kind of revamp the whole fucking system. I mean, it's pedophiles and broke millionaires run our country. It's fucked up.
And they kick it down to like people like YouTube influencers and stuff like that to kind of make it seem like, oh, everybody gets an opportunity.
Well, think about do you like Andrew Schultz?
Yeah.
So there was a video circulating this week about him talking about China and TikTok and the algorithm in China. And the algorithm in China rewards the kids in China on TikTok for doing innovative science.
So what it does now is like, you know how TikTok works, right?
Yeah.
You just scroll through it and you see different videos. Most of the videos now that they will see is mostly educational.
Right. In China.
In China.
So that's what I was going to say. So, but the algorithm rewards the educational videos, and that's why they're coming up more.
Okay,
they don't want to see dumbass dances.
Yeah.
But we get rewarded for the dumb dances.
Yeah.
Because they want to keep us dumb. They'd like to keep dumbing us down and keep us numb. They don't want to teach us about what's going on. Well, they want to help educate us.
And that's what's kind of hard to think about too, is like once you start trying to change that format of system, then you're not letting them be free, or you're not letting them be the person they want to be. Like, oh, what do you mean I can't see the videos I can't see? Like, you should technically see whatever you want to see, but we're going to promote more educational stuff. Wait, what? You guys are going to promote it? I don't like how that's going. Like,
right.
That already brings up questions of like why
control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's weird. That's weird in itself. But into a sense, is control a bad thing?
Well, I would rather have the programming, the media, we'll say, around us that influences us being a little bit more
positive.
Yes, positive, educational. Yeah. Up. But guess what? That doesn't promote consumerism. Positivity doesn't make you want to go buy a car. Feeling good about yourself doesn't make you want to go get McDonald's. You know what I'm talking about, Boo? Yeah. It's the way that this system works is perfectly set up for them to keep us feeling badly about ourselves and keep us buying shit that we don't need.
And that sucks.
It's unfortunate. But if we can be out here and we can be talking about it and we can be making jokes or making music or both together, and influencing people a little here, a little there, more over there, more over here, it's fantastic. I mean, the kind of feedback that I get on my show is I've never felt so good about what I do. Just from getting people to tell me that I made them feel better. I had a guy once tell me he broke up with a girl because of a story that I told on my show about me being scared to say no to somebody and then saying no to them and then having it be really good for me, the outcome. And I mean, it was funny. It wasn't like a psychological situation, but it is. But if you can, I just say, go back to the part of if you can do what you love to do and you feel like people are loving you back and you're getting the good stuff and you feel like you're passionate and you have a point, you know, that you love making and helping people just feel better. That's what we do, right? Just helping people feel better.
Yeah, that's why I like to, like, I love the comic aspect. I love making people laugh and stuff, but the entertainment thing is what really gives me the high. Is like, that's why I play guitar, or like I'm a really good magician as well too.
Oh wow.
Like great sleight of hands and stuff like that, so I can always like.
Another thing that you could do with comedy.
See, and that's weird because I've seen people do it and they may get made fun of.
Yeah, it's because people can't do it. You know that, right? I got made fun of for doing characters all the time because people can't do it.
Or they do, and it's just not as good.
Not funny. Yeah.
It's just like, well, yeah, that's.
Or it sounds bad. Like, oh, you should be. That's worrisome. That impression. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and not to big up my own self, but kind of to big up my own self and to big you up too, and to let you know, like, folks can't do shit they're gonna hate.
Yeah. An individual thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if
you love it and you're doing it and you're killing it and people fucking love it in the audience, who cares? People used to say, doing all this sex material, that's totally pandering, like easy laugh. Really? Go get some easy laughs. I'd love to see that. What is that? As a comedian, easy laughs? Fuck you. There's no such thing. Right? What are we talking? A banana peel slip? Like, what are we talking?
Well, yeah, what is an easy laugh?
Right.
I've never. If that was a definition, I don't know what it is.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
There's no such thing. That's a hater comment. So they look at you and they go, oh, the guitar? Easy laugh. Really? Come, give it a try. I offer you up my axe to fucking try it.
Would it be the same though? Okay, so like they're like, oh, anybody can do the make somebody laugh, you know, the easy joke or whatever. What if they do your joke, and they get the reaction?
What do you mean?
So like, you know, there's like, you come up here and try this then, and they go up there and just do exact same thing you did, but they get the laugh. Does that still count?
But they wouldn't. That's not what the assignment is.
It's not like
the assignment is you come up. You do
easy
your easy, what you think is an easy laugh. You do your bit that you think is going to get you your easy laugh.
Okay.
Or you think if you go out and you curse, cursing, That's an easy laugh. That's cheap. That's an easy laugh. Sex. That's cheap. That's an easy laugh. Really? I've never thought that in my life. That could be easy.
Yeah,
Get up on stage.
I'm still thinking of what would be an easy laugh.
Exactly.
Like, what's
There's
one
no
thing?
such thing. That's a hater comment.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Just like you shouldn't do this. That's a hater comment. You shouldn't do blank. You shouldn't do magic with comedy. Why not? Penn and Teller are fucking brilliant. Brilliant. Steven, that you pulled up? Brilliant. There's people that fucking do it and have done it. It's a personal choice.
That's true.
And sheeple, you don't want to be the sheeple. And you can't listen to everybody. You listen to everybody, you just stop. That's what happened to me. I listened to way too many people and I just stopped.
Just got too overwhelming.
I was like, I guess I'm doing it all wrong because I'm listening to everybody else and not my own heart.
That makes sense.
That's the difference now. So I had to listen to my heart. I'm like, nobody can beat my heart. My heart knows what's up.
Yeah, nobody knows what you know.
Right.
They have so much experiences and stuff like that. That's good, but that's your experience.
Exactly. Keep in your lane.
Yeah.
Talk about your experiences. That's why I love the fact that you say you want to talk more now about stuff. You want to talk all about your stuff that happened when you were younger, or your whatever, your family. That's fantastic. That is gold for comedy. Gold. And if you feel like right now, at this moment, that maybe some of the stuff is heavy for you to talk about because it's heavy. Maybe you take your guitar out once in a while and you're like, I'm going to try some shit about my family, but I needed this here to lighten it up for you guys because it's heavy.
That makes sense.
I mean, we can be flexible, right? Nobody has to be just one thing all the fucking time. You don't.
And you see that especially when they become actors and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, look at this role he played.
Or
oh,
a writer. They wrote a screenplay, or they wrote
That's even crazier to think of too. Like all those names behind the scenes of like the roast shows, of like Comedy Central Presents.
Yeah.
There's so many of those writers behind there. I'm just like, you'll never know these people unless you do the research and try to find them. But then you're just like, oh, look, it's this comedian who I saw at this fucking show all the way on this side of the world. Like, what? That's crazy that it's so, the connectivity of it too as well is like, it's a huge entertainment circle, but it's a small world.
Exactly. World of comedy.
Everybody comes into it. Like you might cross paths with the most famous person ever you can think of in comedy.
Oh yeah, there was Jim Florentine was on the show last night. I mean, not during the segment that I was on, but the segment that I was on, Lori Kilmartin was in my segment, and she and I know one another from way back. And I was like, oh my God, Lori. She's like, Jess, oh my God. Like, we were so excited to see one another, But her life, I mean, when I was watching her, she was one of my heroes, of course, because she's fucking brilliant. And I would watch her and I'd think, my God, she doesn't give a fuck. She just doesn't give a fuck. She's telling her story, Yeah. And I know I've known her now 15 years because her son is 15. I was like, your son is 15. I was like, fucking shut up. And she's all, yeah. But it was just wonderful to, like, I look at Lori and I look up to her. And then there was a girl who was younger than us, or younger than me, because I'm younger than Lori. So she was younger than me on the same panel. And she was all excited because she knew Lori, that she didn't know me. But then after the panel, she knew me and she was like, oh my God. And now we're friends, But yeah, there's comics everywhere.
And that's that networking too, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
That's so weird.
But just being nice, just being yourself. Like, I used to think it was a bunch of bullshit. Like, I don't want to go and fucking slap hands and fucking kiss asses and blah, blah, blah. I'm not like that. And a couple of people were like, Jessica, just be yourself. Like, you're like a cool chick. You're a cool dude. Just be yourself. Yeah. Hey, what's up? I see you run a show. I'd love to get booked on it sometime. Keep me in mind. I'll hit you up. It's not really that big of a deal. But I think, I know that when you have an upbringing that's very tumultuous and you're not allowed to ask for what you want, it's very hard as a grown-up to ask for what you want.
That makes sense. I even have that problem at work where I'm just like, what the fuck? I need my raise. Give me a fucking raise. Oh, maybe they'll give it to me tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not gonna
I'll
say
just
anything.
be thinking about it and resenting them in my stomach.
Maybe if I think about it hard enough, it'll just the mental capacity of that will just.
I'll work hard enough. I'll show them I'm worth it. And it's like,
to where the other sense,
take
where
advantage.
the other person is just probably like, oh, yeah, I don't think I'm getting paid enough. Can I get a raise?
Yeah.
And it's done.
Yeah.
And just like, what? So
yeah. It's all that stuff. It's all that stuff. I mean, I wasn't, I've done acting jobs that were big where I'd never would tell anybody about it. And then people would see me like in a movie and they'd be like, Jessica, why don't you tell us you did a fucking movie with, David Mamet or whatever, fucking Helen Mirren. And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, and those are the pieces that like the self-worth pieces where you just go, I don't know. I mean, it was cool, I guess. What am I supposed to do? Go brag to everybody about it? But it's like, it's not bragging when you're just telling people the work that you've done. But I didn't understand that. Just like I didn't understand you could just go up to people and be like, hey, I'd love to do your show.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, can I suck your cock so I could do your show? It doesn't have to be like that.
That's my problem right now is I feel like I'm still in that transitional stages of like
you're still early on.
And I still got to understand that it's just asking. It's not like I'm fucking
It's nothing personal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
And if it is, then that's his problem or their problem.
Exactly.
Like it can't be like, oh, great, nobody likes me in this scene.
And that's not true. Yeah, and you know that.
Yeah.
So it's like and I have to know that too. Like I've hit people up before and they've been telling me, oh yeah, well, I had someone tell me I curate my shows, so not yet. And I was like, curate? But whatever people want to say.
Yeah.
I can't, people are going to do what they're going to do. Yeah. And sometimes the most unexpected shit, like the Guild show, so unexpected for me. But I loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And now I get to do it every month for the next few months. I'm really excited.
And it's a
paid show.
And a good turnout.
And a great turnout. And they film and, I wouldn't have thought that would have happened with me because I'm not, close with Alex, And that's okay too.
Yeah.
He saw a talent. He wanted it in his room. I respect that. And that doesn't have to be anything more or less than that.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be a big thing. And a lot of times the business is just business.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you just try to take it personal.
And you got to kind of separate the two.
Yeah.
Like you got to know that there's a business aspect and an art aspect.
Yeah.
And there's two different, you have to know the two.
Right. Like with the radio stuff, I couldn't be resentful of those people. I'm not hating on them or talking smack. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. And you don't bring it up. You're just not like, I've been canceled, blah, blah.
Yeah, no.
You're
no,
not.
I go, what we say as comics, if you're upset that somebody's doing really well, write more.
Better.
Write better.
Yeah.
Write more. Do more. Put yourself out more. How's your website look? Are you on TikTok? Like, there's all these little things that people are always asking of us to do as comedians or actors or musicians or whatever artists to put because we're working for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're our brand that we're pushing. So it's hard.
And yeah, especially the amount of work that some people put compared to other people. And you're just like, how does it work for this person when I'm doing so much more? And it gets a little disheartening, but then you have to realize that it's, it's a game, like a climbing ladder game where like there's some times where, some steps are bigger than others. Other steps are very, very narrow and you have to be very careful going to them. But in the long
sometimes
run,
the ladder's going to go down
exactly.
a few rings.
You won't even be able to make it up a certain amount of levels. Like maybe the ladder for you is where it's at. Like, you can't.
We all accept. I mean, we have to kind of accept it. Look, I know Mark, I saw him come up. He was fantastic, hard worker, Norman, and he knew where to put himself. There are people that know who to align themselves with and where they should be every night. And it's a work ethic that I didn't understand. And I didn't even hang out with comics in LA. I didn't like them, And I was like, Jess, you need to learn to like your peers because this is what you do. And these people are going to be, maybe some of them are going to be doing some stuff and they could think of you or, and I thought, I only want to like who I like genuinely, And LA was fine. I found a few friends, but for the most part, the people that were doing all the stuff, I just didn't like them. I didn't like how fake it felt when we had interactions.
Yeah.
And, and I watched people be fake and really, and still not get anywhere. And I thought, I'm definitely not going to fucking go out of my way.
Hard, yeah.
Exactly. I was like, then nah. And I've seen a lot of women that I know who are fantastic comedians and do a million, they have a blog, they have a web series, they have videos, they have this, they have that, they have tour. Still, nobody's ever heard of it. They can't make a living at what they do. Like, it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
What we do.
It is. And it's crazy to find when it hits. Like some of my best shows had nothing to do with comedy. Like, it's a variety burlesque show with like every other talent, with like singers, jugglers, burlesque dancers, trapeze artists, then one comedian. But yet that one spot was some of the best that I've ever felt, compared to like doing a Revel show where I know that room is amazing and they're there for comedy and stuff like that. But it wasn't my night, or just didn't feel like I hit that night. But there's been other nights where it's like nothing to do with comedy, but it's still, the people there were there to have a good time and they laughed at all my jokes. And that's weird to see that happen too, where it's like you can't get upset if like you don't get booked, or you don't have a good set, or you don't have this amazing, you're not killing it every night, because it's a very rough road.
Yes.
To follow.
I don't kill it every night,
especially
Angel.
when you're trying to figure out new stuff. Like,
yes, and it's constant.
And then
never stops.
Then if you got your good material, you keep doing your material. You do it for so long, then you end up being that hack that just does old material.
But that's another hater. That's another hater comment. I'm going to say it. I know you listen to these comics.
I'm learning.
Learn from like podcast, the comics who talk podcasts and all that stuff. But I got to tell you, that's another hating, because I know. I mean, Rachel, who I spoke of earlier, she did the same. I want to say 7 to 10 minutes. For God, I don't know, 15 years, however long it was, she got huge. She stuck to her fucking bits. People would come back to see her do her material. It's like a band. How are you going to call a band hacky? You're going to call the Allman Brothers hacky because they still do fucking, Jessica. They still do Jessica. Fuck that, I'm like, that's what people come for. As comics, we're so hard on ourselves and on each other. My God. Did you ever watch that panel with Ricky Gervais, Jerry Seinfeld, Louis C.K. and Chris Rock, and Ricky Gervais is interviewing them about stand-up? It's like an HBO thing. You got to watch this, man, because whatever you think about Seinfeld, he's a grandfather of fucking comedy, and he's a spectacular example of what you could do, right? If you work really hard, right? He's a hard worker. But he is a believer in having the same material for a very long time. He's got material that he still does from 20, 25 years ago that he says he finds new things in. He doesn't do the whole set that's the same, but he says, I have jokes. He goes, this Louis, and he turns to Louis and he says, this whole hour a year thing? No. Nope. It's not realistic.
Well, I mean, for so long. Even if
it is. An hour a year?
I mean,
it's not realistic.
I mean, maybe you could pull it off 2 years maybe, but I get what you're saying. You're not doing a 10-year span of like every year.
Right, like Louis was putting out a new special every year.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh my God, he's a fucking... No, not every joke is amazing. He was great. Everything was fine. It was fine. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he
was going for those easy laughs.
But no, it just wasn't as interesting.
I get what you're saying.
As if he had waited and honed a bit longer, maybe waited another year. See how Chappelle comes out every like 4 years or so, 3 to 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for the work, because the work is really, really hard, and that's why the hater comments. That's an easy laugh. You do your stuff for too long, you're a hack. Like, I see I'm probably taking things way too personal, but I feel like I see even a couple of comedians in this scene here that are looking at me now after months of seeing me and going like, well, when is she going to have new material? And I'm like,
because you know it blew me away too when you were on the Kill Tony with Bert Kreischer and Bobby Lee. You did the joke about the compound, about the One Love, and then the
dick in the head.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, that's so funny. Because,
that's like 5-6 years old.
But that's what's beautiful about it. Like I know the joke from like recent times. Like now I'm like, oh, that's Jess's joke, and then like seeing you do it that far back is like, holy fuck, that's dope because it still hits.
Yeah,
it doesn't have this like, oh, it's a 2015 joke because that's what happened in 2015.
It's evergreen because it's about me,
and it's
and that's what we want. I think as comics, like our childhood is always fodder, always. It's the best. I mean, that's my style of comedy that I love. So I think that's what I do, and what I love to do is like give you my history, and that if I open with like, you know, the abortion joke, and I tell you that my mom drove me to my first abortion at 15, and then she told me, you know, kids ruin your life, you know almost everything about me in 5 lines. And to me, that's important right up front. Here's who I am. So you're not surprised at the other stuff that comes out of my mouth.
That makes sense.
You know, or if I do the dick in the head joke, later on in the set, if people get a little uptight, I go, hey, you guys, you realize I was raised with dicks hitting me in the head. I'm obviously, there's something the matter.
Yeah.
And then they can laugh because they remember, oh, yeah, Jesus Christ, she was raised with, you know? But that was something I discovered later. I could call it back to the crowd when the crowd got uptight. I could go, hey, you guys, I get fucking hit in the head with dicks as a little kid. I'm obviously a little wrong right now. I'm obviously off, you know? And they're like, oh, haha, she is, yeah. Or like I'll say, you know, I smoked a lot of PCP. I'm going to forget things once in a while. I'm so sorry. But it's how the fuck it is. So.
Do you feel like that development, though, does kind of have, because you hear comics say this all the time, you're not really developed until you're in your 10 years.
Yeah.
Is that really a thing?
Unfortunately, yeah. It's really unfortunate because I do see, I mean, look, you could say like Taylor Tomlinson, she hasn't been doing it 10 years. She's fantastic. You know, Josh Fournier, he's not been doing it 10 years. He's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, he's good.
He's really good. You know, there's certain people that are exceptions to the rule, but it's only because of the 10,000 hour thing, I think. I think it's because you have to be on stage so many times and you have to be delving into what's your point of view? What's your perspective? What do you feel when this happens?
Why it's funny.
Yeah.
The angles you're going to take to why it's funny.
Well, it's funny to you.
Like, do you believe in the whole, like, you know how there's, like, methods and, like, equations of how to make jokes and stuff like that?
No.
Like, you know, the whole, like, misdirect and, like, being able to do, like
I mean,
you know,
there are those styles.
Set up and punch.
It's all different styles. It's whatever style feels most comfortable for you.
That's what I feel is weird, though, is like somebody can take our jokes and literally diagnose them and be like, oh, yeah, this because you have this setup and this 3 rules. Oh, you're good. That's why it's funny. But we didn't go through that. We discovered it because we tried it, did it so many times, and now we did it because it's funny because we developed it. But somebody analyzing us says why it's funny, and they do make sense.
Doesn't it take the funny out?
Does it?
to analyze it?
I feel like it makes it.
Know.
That's what I love about being able to like have this like comprehensive open mind is because like holy shit, that's great. That's genius. If it's really a science to that, which kind of is and kind of isn't.
Yeah.
Like you know.
I mean, there is the rule of 3 and I do believe in that because I just think there's something it's like music, you know, when you're doing comedy well, it's like music. There's beats and there's pauses, there's rhythms and you share the, you know, my friend who's a director says, you know, he loves live performance because it's like a conversation with your audience. But when you're not doing well, it's a one-sided conversation.
Or you're just getting mad at the audience.
Yeah.
I've had that problem so many times.
Same. I mean, you're going to have it. I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you think, and Carla's so funny because she'll see me get upset about sets, you know, and I'll be all bummed about it or fucking, shit, fucking, that was horrible. And she's like, oh, and I go, oh, sorry, Carla. I know you're like a newer comic and I shouldn't be having like a breakdown in front of you. And she goes, no, actually, thank you. I said, why? She said, because it's real. Like, I know that this isn't going to stop. This kind of like torturing ourselves after a set that you don't really love, or a joke that you're struggling with that you love that you just isn't working. You know, it never ends. And I don't believe any comic that said it did. And if they do, then they're not working anymore. They're not working hard at it. They're just kind of floating in their thing. Because comics are insane.
Yeah.
We can't stop.
Yeah, because people, even now, they don't believe, like, at my work, I'll be like, yeah, I do comedy every night. Like, I go to, where's comedy? Where's there comedy here? I'm just like, well, let me explain it to you in a sense where you kind of understand, because it's so hard letting them know, like, well, we do comedy at this bar on a Monday because they allowed it to happen. And then what we do is try to find locations where they're just like, hey, nothing's going on here. You want to throw an open mic or something. So we find them and do it throughout the whole week. So there is comedy going on, but they just don't really comprehend or understand it, where they're just like, oh, that's cool. Let me know when you have a show. I literally have a show every night. Like, you can come out and see if you want to. But it's an open mic thing where, you know, people practicing, trying to do things. It's not a showcase, or it's not anything big. And they still don't understand, like, oh, there's comedy here? Like, where is that at? And it's just hard to explain to someone.
This isn't a comedy town.
Yeah, that's not a comedy, like not a comic or something. That there is a booming scene here, but they just don't get it or don't know of its awareness.
Well,
here.
it's not publicly promoted. I don't see any comedy promoted here. I mean, the Revel shows I see promoted, and now the Guild shows I see promoted. Like, and I mean, like, in the paper. Like, I get the free paper here. I'm looking on local businesses' sites and stuff like that, and there's just not a lot of, even Revels. You know, they don't really promote the comedy night.
Oh yeah, you're just like, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's and on their IG, and so it's a slow build. What are you gonna do?
This is just what we live for, though, right?
I mean, I live, eat, breathe comedy. I can't. It's what else is there? I don't know. So much, Jess. Yeah.
Well, Jess, we've been here for about 2.5 hours.
Oh my God! I hope everybody's okay. I'm gonna pee.
That's fun. You should have said something. You can always go use the bathroom. Okay. Everyone's always like, they feel like it's like a torture chamber or something. Like, I can't go to the bathroom until after it's over. Like, if you need the bathroom, you can go ahead and leave. Maybe I can throw a few sponsors out there, which I don't have, but I like to pretend. Oh. So I'll take that time right now.
What's your pretend sponsor?
So, thank you, everybody.
I don't really have to pee. Actually. Sorry.
I'm not going to go.
Where are you going to sponsor?
I don't have a sponsor. I really want to be sponsored by Colgate. Colgate's a good sponsor. I really want to get sponsored by them. True White Power. Okay, but wait. I don't think you want Colgate. They're one of the big ones that control us. That's fine. He's like, can I get some money? Can I get some free toothpaste? Yeah, can I get some free toothpaste? If you use my code MuseMeTV, 10% off free toothpaste. Yeah, well, you can hit him up. You know what's crazy? You speak some Spanish, right? Like un poquito. Do you know how to say hang me in Spanish? No. God, no. You don't? Hang me? Yeah. No. Or how do you say hang yourself? No. So it's crazy, but the way you say hang yourself in Spanish is colgate. No, like the toothpaste. It's spelled exactly the same. No way. That's weird. I know. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Colgate's causing some suicides or not. Mexican suicides only. But apparently. But yes, in Mexico, the most popular toothpaste is Crest. Oh. So they're not fucking with Colgate. No, they're like, that's the death toothpaste. That is El Diablo. Yeah, and it's red. Yeah, exactly. See? Uh-huh. So, fuck. Well, thanks for telling me. Yeah, I do want to get sponsored by them, though. I mean, the best deals. What about Blake's Burger or something? Like, why? Local. So they can get mad at me? They're like, hey, Angel, you're not giving out big enough burgers. I'm like, this has nothing to do with me. I just want to. Yeah. Have you heard of that controversy? Well, yeah. I heard they were bigger before. Yeah, they're skimping on meat and stuff like that. I haven't eaten there yet. I know. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's good if you haven't eaten there before and stuff, but it's like this whole thing where, like, back in the day, we used to get a big burger. Now it's not even the Lotta burger is it's a burger, and I don't even. No, it's ridiculous. That's so funny. Yeah, you sound like an Albuquerque person who's mad. Yeah, that's what happens. Oh, you know who I met? Do you know Johnny James? I am Johnny James. Oh yeah.
Mr. Allsick.
Yeah.
He's fun. He's great. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's a lot of fun.
It's a big Instagram star, right?
TikTok.
I thought he was
Instagram as well.
I've seen him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe he's blowing up on TikTok too.
Yeah. So I met him during the summer. He was great.
He's all crazy.
He's all crazy. He's fucking all sick. Yeah, he's fun.
And that's a good example too. Is like, if that guy were to start comedy, he has a following that would want to go see him right away.
Yeah, already, sure.
Compared to people like us, like me, or like I hate bringing this up too, but like people like Josh Fournier or Zach Abeda. Like, they have a decent following, but they don't have this Johnny following.
No.
See, and that's...
he's got thousands and thousands and thousands.
And that's what's crazy is, like, Johnny can go up there and probably be a mediocre stand-up to start off with, but still get
he already does. He does hip-hop, so he doesn't need to be a stand-up.
Why do you gotta ruin everything?
Because I don't want another stand-up in our scene, man. It's too many fucking stand-ups in the scene.
Really?
I mean, not in this scene, but in general.
You think? Okay, so here's.
I mean, there's only 20 of us here.
I was like, hey, I've been here for an hour, 2 hours. Do you really need to go to the bathroom?
No.
I can go on for another hour.
No.
Like,
not for the people.
Who gives a fuck? Hey, you guys like long form conversations, right? Yeah, this is what Joe Rogan was all about.
Oh, fuck him.
I love Joe Rogan.
Not funny.
Not
funny.
How is it not funny?
Not funny?
Rocky Mountain High is a great special. I don't know if you know about that special.
I do, of course.
I like
of course
that one.
Do.
That
sure.
one's one of my great specials.
Mm-hmm.
And his first Netflix special.
No.
Really?
Yeah. No. Just not smart.
Okay.
It's like that type of white man too that I'm like, stop. You're not that smart.
I can't. That makes sense.
I can't handle it.
But I love the fact that he's more of like an open-minded white guy, like an open-mindedness. Like, he's not really.
I don't know. You heard a story about Planet of the Apes.
Are we about to get? We were so friends until now.
No. I don't dislike people that like Joe. If I disliked people that like Joe Rogan, I wouldn't have
nobody.
A lot of friends.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't have a lot of friends.
But that's so crazy that it's into that now. Like, you can't like somebody now because you already get ostracized, and you get like, no, that's not. I don't like you anymore. Like, I've lost some friends.
I like you.
Well, I'm glad you like me.
Of course.
But there's some people.
It has nothing to do with who you like.
It does. Unfortunately, in this world now.
But here, that makes it so divisive, though, right?
And that's what's sad.
It is sad because if you bring up Joe Rogan and I go, I don't really think he's funny, because I just don't think he's funny. Like, even the Chappelle's last special, everybody was up in arms and the trans and the thing, and I go, what did you think, Jess? It wasn't funny. It just wasn't as funny as Chappelle should be. If he kept saying this is my last special for a really long time, motherfucker, fucking kill it. Knock it out of the park. That wasn't fun. I like people like Patrice O'Neal, Cat Williams, Pimp Chronicles, Patrice O'Neal, Elephant in the Room, like stuff. Greg Giraldo, Midlife Vices.
See,
those are specials that like, bah, like you can't try to put Joe. Like, I can't. There's just not, in my opinion.
Well, that's true. In
my opinion,
even Mark Norman right now, his special Out to Lunch, I think is funnier than anything Joe Rogan has ever put out.
Yes, 100%.
So I get what you're saying there.
And Rogan is also a different generation.
That's true.
And he's got different perspectives on things, and he's from where he's from, and he was raised the way he was raised. And I don't think a lot of us can really escape the way we were raised, even if we don't talk about it. Like, he doesn't really talk about it, but
he brings it up a little bit. I get what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? But it informs everything that he talks about.
Yeah.
So,
especially when you hear his stuff after, like, his hippie parents, like when you start hearing him in Boston and how he started his karate and all that. That's where you're like, this is Joe Rogan.
That's him. Yeah, he developed that persona
at that point of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably do get these little things growing up as a kid. Like, I still kind of feel like some small things that I did maybe when I was 9 or 10 kind of reflect on the person I am now. But most of it's all at a certain point.
Well, I think you can't help but have your family's influence in your blood for your life.
Yeah.
Unless you go deep into therapy and deep into stuff that you try to change, the patterns of. But it's tough, man.
That's what I love and hate about pop culture, and especially like 90s sitcoms, is because I think I've learned more about being a good human from them than I did my parents. And I hate to say that. Like, I hate to say that, like, I saw an episode of Malcolm in the Middle where I knew if I wasn't being treated fairly, I shouldn't take it out on the whole world. I should reevaluate myself, try to think about it better, and then maybe bring it to light so everybody knows how I feel. I never learned that from my parents. I never learned how to be.
We all had to learn, I think, from TV.
And that's great. Well, not everybody.
Not everybody, but
a lot of people.
Not, yeah.
And again, you see those family dynamics where you go to that nuclear family and you're just like, oh, my mom told me about sex, or oh, my dad told me about the value of hard work. And then you go to your house and you're just like,
chaos.
Yeah, you learned it from TV.
Yeah.
And that's what blows me away is like America's youth kind of did take that into account where they oh, I watched Home Improvement. I know about being a good kid because I saw that development of a family. Mm-hmm. Or they took that development, this is a fantasy, this will never be my real life, and they just exploded and turned into the upbringing that they became, like, you know, the drugs, the alcohol, or whatever. Because I get told that all the time. They're just like, Angel, I'm so glad that you became the person you are, because knowing what you've been through, you should be in jail or a drug addict. And I'm just like, well, first of all, you thinking that is pretty fucked up.
Well, yeah. Also, they don't know your experience. I mean, the thing is just from having this talk with you today, I learned about you going to your grandpa's, and that in itself is a huge part of a kid's, like that's like saving you.
Yeah.
For a huge piece of what saved you and saved your psyche and saved your, you know, like you said, made you understand the value of hard work and the value of structure.
Yeah.
And you didn't get that at the place you were at. So, I mean, it's hard. I think everything is really shaky, like from parental stuff. Usually you don't really get what you need. Even when we look at these nuclear family people and we go, oh, and they have the mom and the dad and the dog
picket
and
fence,
the kids and thing, and they, you know, the dad's fucking the daughter. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know.
Nursing assistant.
Yeah,
it
there's
could be
never.
really...
Yeah, it's. I dated a guy with khaki pants. I like to call him the white man khaki pants wearer, and I thought he was gonna be like, oh my god, he's gonna like save my whole life or
knight
whatever.
in shining armor.
And he had it worse than I did. I went home with him and I was like, the fuck is going on here? Nobody could say no to each other. No one would say how they really felt. It was like very like polite, whitey politey.
Yeah.
Oh, bless your heart, Jess.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you don't like me.
And growing up, you'd never see that. Like, I never saw it when the kids wanted to come to my house. I was just like, why the fuck do you want to come to my house?
Right.
My house sucks. Don't come to my house. But they're trying to escape
Where
the
they're
life
from.
that they live.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, fuck, that's so crazy. Because I would have never would have guessed it, never would have thought about it. But now I see them growing up, or like I see some of my high school friends back in the day. I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm so glad that you let me go to your house, because, man, you made me a better person because I get to hang out with you. And he would be like, oh, well, I'm glad that I did that for you because, like, my life sucked. Like, you know, just in a sense where, like, you know, we tried to help each other grow up, but yet I didn't know the severity of how bad his life was, why he wanted to come to my house.
Right.
When I constantly was like, my house sucks, parents suck, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, man, that sucks. Well, you can come over if you want. But him inside is like, fuck, I don't want to be here either.
Right.
I don't want to be here.
No.
Like, but that's so crazy to think about the supportiveness of something like that.
Well, you also, I think from your point of view, yours was outer kind of, like you could see what you thought we can see what's wrong with my house.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But his house looks
You can't, yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, you don't even
Yeah.
notice.
So, you know, it's an interesting lesson as a kid and as a grown up too, to like, you can't judge. We never know. You never know where somebody's from, what they've been through. We don't know, you know? And that's why we can't lead with, you know, negativity or ego or all that shit. It's like, just go and have the experience. Like, I moved here, I didn't know one person. I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew there was no comedy club. I knew there wasn't any kind of status grab or any gold ring for me to be climbing over other people for. And that was really okay with me. I was like, you know what? I never was rewarded in these other cities. So maybe let me go somewhere where it's a smaller place and I can just be rewarded by the energy that's there. And that's how it's happened. I mean,
and I feel like
I put myself out there. I was just by myself, go to a show, by myself, go to a show.
Yeah, especially now, newer to the comedy scene. Like, if I would have known the clout and stuff that you had, I would be so much more hesitant to like, oh man, I don't even know if she would talk to somebody like me because she's been in
People
the
say that all the time, and it's silly because it's not, you know,
but
we're
you don't
not.
think that. You don't.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy. Like,
But you could. I mean, I grew up in Hollywood, right? And my mom was an actor, so I knew a lot of people but we were on welfare.
Yeah.
So she wasn't like a famous actor, but I knew people that would become famous, you know, and nothing was different from us to them. There was no difference. They just worked, you know, harder at the thing they wanted to do, the business they wanted to be in. Whereas my folks were just not. They didn't work.
there just wasn't
They were severely fucked up as well. So it was like, you know, just the cycle of it and seeing how some people are really fucked up and actually pull themselves out and work really hard and get really far.
Yeah.
You know, Daryl Hammond's story is fucking horrific. And he was giant. I mean, he's the longest running cast member on SNL ever. Daryl Hammond.
Okay.
And no one even knows who the fuck he is. He played every politician from Clinton to, you know, older Bush. Like, he was like
The guy.
or younger Bush, whatever the thing was. Yeah. And Trump. Like, but, you know, he had fame and fortune as far as New York and SNL and, you know, worldwide. He could go play anywhere he wanted as a comic. And he imploded at a certain point because he couldn't handle holding in all his childhood traumas anymore.
Interesting.
And he had a full breakdown. And he made a documentary about it, too. It's really sad. Like, cry your eyes out sad.
Oh, shit.
As most comedians, I think most of our stories are really sad. And I think the pull that we have to wanting to do this is to wanting to make people feel better.
Yeah.
Because we didn't feel good.
Totally see that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I from music to this now, I feel that exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's a different art form, I still feel like as long as I can make somebody happy, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, bring some joy. Because we saw people struggling most of our lives. We saw people suffering and not being able to find the joy anywhere, right? It was with people that were very depressed and very upset all the time and angry and violent and all that, you know. And you go, God. And then if you can cheer them up, and you go, oh, cool, maybe I could cheer everybody up. I mean, Bernie Mac wrote a book when he was alive called Maybe You Never Cry Again. And it was his memoir. And it was all about his mom crying one day in the kitchen and him coming in and like doing something funny and her laughing. And it was the same with Pryor. Pryor grew up in a brothel. You know, his grandma was the head, you know, madam in a whorehouse. His mother was a whore. And, you know, it's like these guys, and he slipped in a pile of shit in the backyard. He says he'll never forget. He was 4 years old. He ran into the backyard and he slipped on a pile of dog shit and he fell and everybody laughed. And he was like, okay. All right.
This is it.
In a very sad, you know, place where people are really upset all the time. You want to make them happy. And now we live in this world, you know, this has never been great, this world, but it seems pretty fucking crazy right now.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, to be able to make people laugh, to be able to make people feel like they're not alone, you know. Like, I do my show every Tuesday, and I know I have to because people are looking forward to it.
Yeah, you've already had that establishment where you're just like, I like this, I want to see more.
Well, it's consistency.
Yeah.
And somebody showing up consistently for those of us who didn't have consistencies in our life or structure at all, and to have that now and to put it out for people and be like, hey, I'm making myself available for you consistently.
And that's what I love about this aspect now is like, they're like, nobody's watching you. Like, no, you only get like blah, blah, blah views and blah, 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 so many people. But like, that's okay because there's billions of people out there right now. And like, even just touching a few of them is more than a lot of other people can do. Like, more than what people try. Like, there's some people that talk about doing a podcast that don't do it. Or there's people that are just like, oh, I've seen somebody go to open mics almost every night and he just hasn't gone up, but he wants to.
Right.
And that's one of those things where it's just like, is it something where you just don't feel comfortable? Is it something where you're just scared? Like, there's so many aspects.
All of it.
You can't
it's scary.
It's weird to think about.
Well, it's scary to think you're going to put yourself out like in a podcast. I know a lot of people. I've had haters tell me like, "What do you think? You're a guru?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What do you mean? Why would I be a guru?" They're like, "Because you think you can speak and all these people listen to you and you tell people advice." And I go, "I'm just trying to make people feel better, like they're not alone, you know." But I think it's really hard for people to have what the Buddhists call beginner's mind, which is like what you talked about it earlier. We all start out not knowing anything. We all have to learn as we go. But people are so programmed to think that we have to know as soon as we start it. And if we fuck up or we make mistakes or it's not getting as many views or traction, that we should just give up.
Yeah.
And that's just sad. I mean, I think I'm on my 200 and something episode. And people are like, what? And I go, yeah, I love it. I don't do it because I'm like, oh my God, when am I going to be famous? Come on, you guys. Like, no, I do it because I love it.
Yeah. This experience.
Absolutely love it. Yeah. I love talking. I love telling my stories from the week. I loved talking, answering comments that are coming in during the live. I love being able to stream it to, numerous podcast platforms. Like, I just like knowing that I'm producing something for myself every week consistently. 30 to 40 minutes of new content every week. And I think, God, I could actually look into those podcast notes and get some new material because I'm doing new material every week on this show.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm hard on myself in regards to that. Like, I don't know if I think it's like cheating or something in a weird way where I'm like, I didn't write that like it was a stand-up bit, but it's really funny. I could do it on stage and it would work. And so I'm like, I'm just going to try it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Who cares?
And that's technically, I like to think of where all of our stand-up comes from is just us thinking.
Yeah.
Like having thoughts out loud, being able
and
to.
experiences.
Exactly, yeah.
Putting those experiences into words and making it funny. And sometimes you don't even have to make it funny. It's funny on its own.
Yeah, just by what it said.
Oh my God.
That's crazy to think about too.
I mean, when I have that weatherman joke about the Albuquerque weatherman. And there's no laugh lines in it. It's like, oh, your weatherman's the hardest working man in Albuquerque. Look at how much he has to deal with. 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. You have to wear a coat and a sweater. It's going to be wintertime. 2 p.m. It's going to be blazing hot. Bring your shorts. 5 p.m. a child will be taken. 7 p.m. another coat. You're going to be really freezing. Now, look, if you look through that, if you break it down, there's not really a laugh line. Maybe the child being taken is the laugh line, right? But it's only supposed to be funny because it's so tragic.
And it's true.
And it's true that you get your Amber Alerts in your newscasts.
Well, not only that, but like even when you start describing the weatherman, like in the morning, he tells you that exact moment. And you're already thinking like, that's funny because I always have a sweater on just because of those moments.
Right, because it's going to be freezing and then it's going to be blazing hot. And there's so much... there's so many Amber Alerts here that I thought, that would be kind of funny if it's so tragic. I put it in.
Yeah, he's in between the weather report.
But that's like, if a hater were to look at it, they'd go, well, that's not really a laugh line. Like, where's the laugh line in there? Like, I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
Too.
So breaking it down doesn't always work, right?
But see, I feel like me breaking it down, like I do find the laugh line in the 10 a.m. grab your sweater, 2 p.m. wear shorts, like
because you live here, so you know that's real.
Yeah, and I know that makes sense because you would imagine it, and then I feel again bust into the rule of threes because the third one, the
is
Amber,
the kid,
and it's just like god damn it.
Because the fourth thing kind of gets lost.
Yeah, no, I don't. What did you say?
I know nobody ever.
I don't even remember that. I think it's 10 p.m. right?
Yeah, 10 p.m. Bring your coat again. It's gonna be freezing again. But I could probably end with the Amber Alert.
Yeah, and thinking of it though too, it's like I get it. It's funny because you presenting what we all see in the morning.
Right, and I'm trying to, but that's the thing. Like my Albuquerque jokes that I've written since I've been here, it's the weather, it's the tattoos, right? Because everybody's representing their town and they hate it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, me too. Yeah. And so there's like this relating, but also it goes back to when we were talking about going to Walmart. For me, I'm always listening.
To what everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, and I'm
very observant
for the comedy, because I feel like the more I watch what humans are doing, and the more I like report on it, and the closer I can get to the specifics of what they're doing, and kind of like go like, what are they doing?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, for all of us to be like, I don't understand human nature, really. But I couldn't take these jokes to Tucson. I'm going to Tucson in a couple weeks. I can't tell either of those jokes there.
Yeah, because it's always hot.
I mean, it might work. Like the child will be taken. Probably would get a laugh on that. But I don't think that they would be with me in the setup.
Yeah.
Because it's Albuquerque.
Yeah, they don't.
Specific to Albuquerque. Same with the tattoos. I can't do that joke anywhere but here. So those are jokes I can't do anywhere but here.
That makes sense.
Right. But we don't want to get too caught up in that, right? As comics. You don't want to make your stuff so narrow. Like, I love the compliment that you gave me about the Kill Tony. Yeah, you saw a joke. Maybe that was 5 years ago or so. But it didn't lose anything when you saw it here. When I was doing it here. Which makes me feel good. Because it means I'm keeping it fresh. And that's nice to me to know that. Because it's an old joke, you know? But
like I said, though, it doesn't have any relevance to a time period.
No, it won't make you think.
Oh, 1935. Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's just a funny joke of your childhood,
right?
And that's what you're growing up. You'll always have that funny moment as a child,
right?
Because it's something that you've experienced.
Yeah.
And it's something I've never experienced,
right?
But it's funny because it happened to you, and I'm just like, holy fuck! I could just imagine if that would be weird. Like, I can
totally weird.
Think about it, like I'm just
horrifying.
Like, it's like everyone says it, like it's my dad had a small penis, anyways, so it's like I just go right over my head.
That's funny.
All right, Jess, I do really need to pee this time.
Hey, now you gotta pee.
Do you have any? So I know you have your Instagram. You have a website as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to promote anything
Sure.
that you have coming up as well? Just give me some.
Get Wood on Instagram and Facebook. Get Jess Wood is the website, and then I'm playing this Friday at the Mariachi Mota party, the cannabis party.
Okay.
And then I'm playing. Oh shit! I can't even remember, you guys. The first Friday of March at the Guild Cinema.
Okay.
That's a great show. So definitely, if you can come out,
be ready for that.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Yeah. But Get Wood on Instagram. I'm always on. I'm always goofing around. That's it.
That's all she's got, everybody.
For now.
Yeah, you guys know what to do. Just go look her up, do all that stuff. Even Google. Just Google her.
Yeah, Google Get Wood or Google Jess Wood, and I'll be all over your beautiful screen.
One of the first things that pops up, everybody. You guys know what to do as well. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Anywhere you can find your podcast. MuseMeTV is always available. Jess, thank you again.
Thank you, Angel. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, I really
fun
appreciate
time.
it. We got to do this again.
I love that.
That's what I love about these podcasts and stuff is like you can always talk about something.
Oh yeah.
There's always something to talk about. We didn't even talk about conspiracies and talk about alien encounters. Do you know anything about an alien race book?
No.
There's a book out there that has alien races from A to Z.
No.
We'll talk about it next time.
All right. I can't wait.
All right, you guys have a good one. Peace. I love you all.
Love you.